Do everything from fetch information stored on the devices to helping improve photos as they're being taken. Google isn't raising prices on the photos, however, while terrorists are pressuring Apple to do so on their iPhones. Christopher Cruz, CBS News.
It's the Guam Autopart Overstock Sell-Off, and our manager is absolutely crazy for getting these deals. Right now, drive off in a brand new 2025 East Coast for just $24.99. That's $2,000 off the original price. Plus, check out our high-quality premium vehicles, fully inspected and ready to go. Get more food online at GuamAutostock.com and call 478-AUTO-WTOP. It's the Guam Autopart Overstock Sell-Off, and everything has sold. Good afternoon. It is 2:15 p.m. and that is your time check on the Brightside on Wave 105.1 FM. We're starting to show a little bit late due to technical difficulties, but we are back now here with the Brightside with Pauly Suba every weekday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. You can listen to us online on our website, thewave105.com, or watch us live on YouTube, Wave 105.1 FM Guam. If you want to join the conversation, please call us at 671-922-1051, or you can also send us a comment on WhatsApp at 671-922-1051. Shout out to our sponsors over at Pauly Suba Bar, White Chili's, My Life, Great Food, and Memories Happening Here. Coach School Guam, learn, code, and lead the island script, coding bootcamp. Your future in tech begins with us at Coach School Guam. GTA, we start with you. MicroPack is open as it's submitting in law location. Make sure to follow their Instagram at MicroPack601 and MicroPack Inc. on Facebook for exciting deals and promotions. Sentinel Security Solutions, one premier provider of professional security services. Sherwin-Williams, Marines coming fast. Are you ready? Just on your home with Sherwin-Williams Waxing. Engineered for Guam, dry to wet season shift. Built tough, made to last. This is what matters today, and ask Sherwin-Williams. Subway, eat fresh in just a few clicks. Order online at subwaypacific.com for pickup at your convenience, or for delivery right at your doorstep. Online ordering at subwaypacific.com is powered by Get to Go. We deliver at Subway. You gotta eat fresh to be fresh. Now it's time for your real deal traffic report here on the bright side. Looks like traffic is not too bad at this hour, but I do have your traffic advisory for the week. There's in striking and marking activities will continue along Route 1 from Route East to Weekday Beach Tower in Hagania from today, Thursday, August 21st to Friday, August 22nd. Work hours will be from 9 a.m. to 14 p.m. Intermittent wind charges in both directions are expected during work hours. Motorists are advised to plan accordingly and proceed with caution. And that is your real deal traffic report here on the Brightside. The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show host, guests, and others. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Lindsay Media, or any of their partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging info, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM with Song of Dawn. Enjoy the show.
All right, welcome to it. Another Brightside right here on Wave 105, even though it's not so bright outside, right? 671 922 is the number, or 1052. We're online at wave105.com, as well as our YouTube channel, Wave 105.1 FM Guam. We're going to be hanging out with the president. Let me see here. We might have a little bit of a delay. So, we should be getting the president or the mayor's council of Guam sometime this hour. He said he'll call us back. And so I wanted to talk to him because basically the budget bill, the substitute budget bill, has they finished all the amendments, right, and the debate on the budget bill, and so they're going to vote on it tomorrow at 10 a.m. They have recessed until 10 a.m. So we'll see what happens tomorrow at 10. And it went way past 12. It went way past midnight, and they had a number of amendments. I was able to catch a couple. Definitely some caught my attention. It was interesting too, right, because they were all tired. Some of them were just flat out saying, could I have a reset? My brain needs to reset. But they got through some of it, and so I wanted to reach out to also Senator Chris Barnett. There were some amendments that he was trying to push through, and for the most part, they failed yesterday. Money to go to the Mayor's Council of Guam, right? Like I think $4 million on top of the 16 that they had. So understanding that pretty much status quo, they were looking more like, they were hoping more like $19 or $21 million for the work that they do as a mayor. But $16.8 million is what they got, and that's status quo. There was also a couple times Senator Chris Barnett was trying to give GDOE more money, and those were shot down for a number of reasons. We'll break that out. But there is a release from the Office of Homeland Security, right, a flood advisory. So I wanted to share this. This came out at like 1:30, so almost an hour ago. In effect for Guam until 3 p.m. this afternoon. Flooding caused by excessive rainfall is expected. Additional rainfall amounts of 1 to 2 inches are expected over the area. Some areas that will experience flooding include Guerrero, Tamuning, Gigo, Manila, Salabago, Ordaz, Barbada, Zotnia, Dania Heights, Anderson Air Force Base, Calafofo, Marmon, Totumaiti, Sinahanya, Inalahan, Asin Manila, Malesu, PT, Santalita, Sumai, and Hamate. Residents and visitors, again, are advised to take the following precautionary actions. If driving, be alert for low visibilities and heavy rain. Slow down where water is ponding on the road. Turn around, don't drown. Avoid walking or driving to flood waters. So, again, that's the release that came out at 1:30 today with the Office of Homeland Security and Civil Defense flood advisory in effect until 3 p.m. So we've got the president of the Mayor's Council of Guam on, Mayor of PT, Jesse Alec. Hafa Adai, man.
Hafa Adai, Pauly.
How's everything going? Are you staying dry? How's village of PT?
You know, I actually, it's like I don't do that there, but I actually like this kind of love.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, every once in a while,
advisory and your village is on it. But as long as the drainage, right, is not plugged up or anything, right?
That's our big deal. As long as those things are clear, then it should be okay.
Yeah.
For the most part, it's okay. You know, the rain is kind of like, it's not, it's just, I don't know, I hate to say like, constantly sliding. But yeah, it's like that.
You could make it to your car in the parking lot and not need a raincoat.
Correct. Yeah, for sure. Kind of steady though, so you know, that's the hard part. You know, when the rain just doesn't want to stop, whatever. I just flood over here too.
How's everything with Jose Rios at the first day of school? Nobody's bringing knives or BB guns there?
Well, I don't want to laugh about that.
Right.
We're okay.
Okay.
I haven't heard of any major issues. Yeah, I think everything's doing, you know, everyone's doing okay here in the village. The rain, like I said, is kind of a nice, it's not too hard. It hasn't flooded. But if it continues to rain, this weather kind of funky. But, yeah, we're doing okay.
Okay, well, that's good to know, right? Because it's one thing to be a mayor of a village. It's another thing to be the president of the entire council, right? And so that might be a different story.
That's a different story. You're right. It's a whole different story.
Well, it can be when you make an advocate for all 19 of them and you all have one budget.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's this, I don't know, budget season is always, I don't know, it's kind of predictable.
Right?
You know?
Really?
Yeah, it's predictable. Okay. It's predictable in that you already know you're not going to get what you want. You'll never get what you want, and you'll never get anything more than what they want to give you. And so you just, you know, when you have your first meeting with them, it doesn't matter who it is, OSB, you just kind of, that's the gauge, right? You basically, no problem, we're going to give you all the minutes that you want. And you'd be like, yeah, okay, we're good. But they say, Mr. President, you know, we're tracking low, our numbers are not the same as the administration, and all that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, you just tell me what you want to give me, and we'll just work with it. Because bottom line, that's what they're going to do. Sure. That's just typically how it happens. And so, last fiscal year is the same. I think last budget cycle was the same. We went in with a particular ask, and we were presented with something significantly shorter. And so much so that we needed a supplemental budget. And then this year, of course, we were in a big budget because that was the wish of the council. And, you know, knowing that OSD's going to want us to cut that down, going back to my colleagues, they were not wanting to budge, and they insisted on, you know, still sticking with our original submission. And, okay, well, that's fine, right? Our council is 25, and it's not just one. So if that's what the majority wishes, then so be it.
What
about what we did, right? Our initial submission was to hold on, or 21 million.
Yeah.
And then, so now you get 16 per minute, which is really status quo, right, from last year. So that's what I believe that we're going to have. And it's just when if the bill passes this, once it gets to the governor's office, right, and that's still the next step. So what is the governor going to do with this bill? Is she signing it? Is she vetoing it? You know, I'm sure there's the possibility of line items, right? So we'll see. We'll never know until the end. And the end really is the governor. Whatever happens here, then that's when we'll have to figure out how to course forward. But I want to listen to the budget hearing because again, you know, I don't like to hear, I don't like the bickering, I don't like the mindset of who does, and sometimes it's entertaining, other times it's But at the end of the day, if you're asking for accountability, not for it. At the end of the day, if you want to know truly what it is you're spending this money on, how do you prioritize your money, the taxes per year, I'm not good with that. I'm okay with, anyone, any senator or anyone actually wanting to know, hey, so how are you spending your budget and why is it that you have, why are you asking for continuing appropriation? Why do you have access? Do you not have anything to do with your money? And so in the original bill, the purchase bill, there was no continuing appropriation language, and I requested for that to be added because, let's just say, procurement process, it's terrible. You just, at the end, just like today again, even for my own office, I have a request to do something that's about $10,000, and it's returned because the contractor wants a vendor, the winning vendor wants $23,000. I don't have to be designed, I only have 10. So, how do you, what do? You have to go back and revisit that entire process. So, it's just that, you can't just go and hire a party to go and do it for $10,000 what you got. You got to go and bid that out, right? You have to go out into the market. And so, and then the other thing about the mayor's council is there's 19 of us. Right. So it's kind of like 19 little agencies in all commingled into one. And many just don't realize that our operations, what I'm doing in PD, that's multiplied by however many embedded in one depot and guys on the new line. And, our staff at the admin office, they have to practice a lot of these things, right? So, but since then, I have to say that since I've really tried a lot of improvement with our procurement, we've improved a lot with our personnel.
That says a lot about Director Arceo.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure. And so, that's what I'm saying. That all of those, all of the things that we wanted corrected, we're doing that. And so you have that for sure. And then the other thing about the budget was they included another Section 7, like last year. And that Section 7, kind of tied up my hands to $2.5 million for PSW.
Oh, but they amended them.
Well, yeah, I know. And so it's like, because that was another thing. I'm like, please remove that. Because you know what I mean? It's like, I have to explain to them in writing that the money has to be flexible for salaries. Because, for instance, we're fully staffed in the office.
Right.
Those office staff, they have to find out in the field as well. And not every office has, been cheap. Right. We're selling maintenance at any given time. And so if we're not flexible to hire an additional recreation leader while we're trying to sell a CMW, all that kind of stuff. So I'm glad they understood that and they removed that, or that was an amendment. So far so good.
I kind of want to put you on. I kind of want to ask you your thoughts of destination management and what that means for you as mayor. Because that was a conversation I was having with GVB, and I had, I agree with President of GVB where you do got to invest in these seat incentives, right? But I asked also, it can't be one and not the other, right? You got to invest in both. And she agreed too. She goes, yeah, a visitor can't come here and, got the incentive to get on a plane, or the airline got the incentive. The visitors get here and then, they see a lemon. They're like, wait a minute, this isn't what was in the brochure. This isn't what I saw on these reels. The water is not as blue as that one insurance told me.
No, for sure. That's the thing, and I was happy to hear that she shares the same sentiments as I do, as we do in the council, and together with Mary Rose, we are kind of on the same page, right, when it comes to the destination management and the villages. And I don't want to micromanage the mayor, but I think we do need to identify throughout the island those villages that need the help, to either spruce up, maintain a particular area, or give some kind of, boost to that village for whatever reason. And to do it responsibly, right? And what I'm saying is, when we're talking about grass maintenance, I mean, come on, we have to consider grass maintenance because we live on an island that rains, that has beautiful sun, and that's exactly what the grass needs.
Right.
And it's going to grow, and so you need to maintain it. And trash, right? Trash is like, that's what I was saying, for all of us. Trash because people are irresponsible. I mean, they're going to throw their trash right out the door because they don't want it in the car and it's going to be out on the side of the road. So thankfully, there are some villages that don't have that big of a problem, but I think everyone does. And so, I mean, even if it's maintaining the grass and the trash and the roads that our visitors travel throughout the villages, I mean, that'll certainly help us. And perhaps that's a DPW function. And if it is a DPW function, then quite honestly, DPW just needs to own up to it. And I'm going to tell you that since we had these discussions publicly about water risks for the last several months, there's been a change. And I hear it in the morning when Dice or someone talks about DPW on that round and from Fisher to Polaris. I'm like, okay, well, great. It's about time, right? It's really about time that they take care of what they own, take care of what is funded to them. And I'm so crazy about that because several years ago already, 6 years ago, that's when they proposed to just take out, or they didn't propose, they did, take out $2.8 million from our budget to pay for that, right? So that they could do that work. Take that $2.8 out of the main council, which of course left us kind of hanging where we were able to pay our workers because that came out of our salaries. So I am happy to hear that change has been made with DPW, and I'm grateful that DPW is out there. Perhaps now we'll see a regular schedule, and we won't have to use our own resources to be cutting these rabbit bills because perhaps this is the second time. The first time was in July. I was away, and DPW was cutting on that one. But, we had just cut that like the week before. So, but at least they came out, right? And at least I know they're coming out. And so when they came out last week, so now we know that their schedule is mid-month. So hopefully they're going to be coming every mid-month and cut around 100% to Polaris.
That's strange, though, that the council doesn't know the schedule and vice versa.
Yes, for sure. Because everything is fluid, right? Because they're going to say, well, if we need them to run through the market, we have to run through the market and put PT on hold. Right? Or they got to run through round 4 and it's going to put that one on hold. So in many instances, I get it, but I would prefer a regular schedule. Now, that is very helpful. That maybe over a year ago already, when GDB was handling it, we did have a schedule. And GDB did coordinate with us. There was a cut once a month and a trash pickup once a month. And that was largely divided roads. And that was a dream. Right? And so I don't know what happened there. Well, I do know what happened. I was told that they're not a maintenance company. I get it, but when we're talking about destination management and we're talking about welcoming our visitors to go Regina and Mary are willing to work with us on other ways to improve the villages, in regards to destination management. And we have the concept is it's about building up each village so that they're sustainable, right? That they can be self-sustaining and that they can contribute to their own economy in their village, right? The economy in the village, but also the island economy as well. So I'm happy about that. We're going to be meeting. We also have Mary coming on to our mayor council meeting in September.
Nice.
Just because of that whole discussion that I had with her and the regime. So I'm hoping that, with good partners like that, we'll be able to do much more.
I love partnerships for sure, but then sometimes what might happen, I don't know if it's happened before, but just an example is like, we come to you with this great idea, but there's no funding, and we need you to also do some of the heavy lifting.
Yeah. And then that brings me to going back to the budget, right? When you want to do, I think there was an amendment, an amendment by Senator Barnett regarding giving us the latest of $1 million.
Yes.
And just like it was last year, but in a different way, we're talking about all this money that we don't have, right? Or money that we do have, but just everyone's just kind of needing money. Right? And so I would have preferred that we had a strategy to use that $4 million so that we could have offered it all, offered it to all the senators. And say, this is the reason why $4 million is necessary. And then, optimize it and hold us to it, right? So at the end of the year, we need to make sure that we're delivering this $4 million to Guam. And not just arbitrarily asking for $4 million. Because our request was $21 million. But our request was $21 million because there's so many other things that everybody, all the different villages want. Right? But then, again, I'm one of 19 or one of 25 members, and if everyone would consider how they can contribute, just a little at a time. You cannot build, an entire city. You can't just build up your village in one fiscal year. You have to consider how you're going to gradually improve so that, you share the pot with everybody else. And I don't know. I'm the minority when it comes to that because we don't agree, obviously, right? We don't agree that we should streamline. We don't agree that we should trim our budget a little bit. And like I said, share the wealth.
Or even how to budget per village, right? Because to be fair, every mayor should be fighting tooth and nail for their constituents within their village, even if they're not the most populated.
Agreed. Agreed. And I think that I had another conversation about how our budget is divided, and it's not equal, right? It's 20,000 down the line, but then the balance is divided by road mileage. And of course, road mileage works best because that's our mandate, right? To maintain secondary and tertiary roads. But my biggest problem with the road mileage, the road data that we have is that it's outdated. And it's like, I don't want to misspeak, but I think it's the early 2000s since that was revised. And, update that.
There are plenty of new roads in Jigo and Denado.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so, that becomes a big issue, I think, when it comes to the road mileage.
Right.
Population, I think, if we did it by population, certainly you're going to see bigger sources of money in smaller districts or smaller villages. change our mandate, I don't subscribe to the population division because, again, it's not, that's not what our mandate really follows.
And there might be smaller villages, but they have to deal with coastal management and whatnot, and hopefully it's not them and it's, there are other agencies that are handling that. But, I mean, in Fiji, you have beaches and whatnot, right? And not every, Manila doesn't. And so even just the environment itself, every village is still different, right? And so you have to kind of look at that as well.
And then I think one of the things that I think some of my colleagues have realized is that, when you're doing some kind of memorandum of agreement between another agency, it's not that you don't even own these properties. I'm talking about parks and I think the mayors that engaged in that were interested or really concerned about perhaps village pride, and that that's in my house, in my neck of the woods, so let me have it, and certainly giving it to them is where they're proud of it, but you forgot that you didn't ask for the money. Pay for to maintain it. And so is it fair? And so now you would come to me and say, hey, Mr. President, it's not fair. I have this and I need more gas. And I'm thinking, how could you say that it's not fair? You made the decision to take over something without anything, to maintain it. What your budget is for the year, so that's what you got. So, and then, like I said, every year they're their bosses, right? So we can't tell them, hey, just, we're not going to do it, and we don't want you to do that. Well, we'll advise them, let them know, hey, you can take all of Google, but don't forget, we're going to increase your fuel amount and your salary, so.
How's everything else working out, though, as far as the other agreement that you have with abandoned vehicles? I see what Google's doing, and they can't wait, they're taking more of a, they're using resources that belong to an individual that works up there.
Right, and that's just kind of the nature of our job, right? We just kind of have to make it work for ourselves. And one of the things that they're going to see, whether it's OSB, BMI, or legislature, they're going to see that there's still $1.5 million left in our account for the recycling and revolving fund. And I can only point to procurement. I don't know how much I can say about that, but we can't move. It was announced, it went through everything, the AG's office signed it, the AG's office returned it, or not returned it, but sent it back. It's going through its process, and then we're at the end of the process, and now it's on hold.
Yeah, and that just brings it right back to lapses, right? And so it's like, why can't you spend money? But then you're seeing a recurring issue with a number of agencies saying the same thing, that it's being held up in procurement. There's even protests and whatnot, and so I've been noticing more and more agencies are seeing the same issues that they're facing.
Right, and so, if there could be, if there is government reform regarding procurement, maybe it does need to be addressed, sooner than later, because that's a lot of our issues, and even with ARPA, that was our biggest issue with ARPA. So, that's what it is when it comes to our budget, and I know that if we get to 16.8, it is, it's status quo. We'll make it work. We certainly will make it work. We've always done that. As long as it's not below that, because right off the bat, we're going to be hardly $14 million for salary. So when you take a look at the breakdown of 16.8, it's about $13 million for salaries, and then the next thing that we have to pay is our utilities, because they'll cut utilities off in a AMH or anything else like that, they're not going to get any rate. They'll cut it off. So, and then utilities is at least like one or a little over $1 million, I think. So, there's not too much left after that when you add it all up.
I see. Well, thanks so much, Mayor. I'm actually so excited that my friend is able to get on October. Karen told me that he's going to be presenting. He's the flag designer, and he's hoping to share.
He's obviously reached out to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm glad, and the reason why I'm glad about that here, and of course I didn't say anything to him in my message, but the reason why I'm happy about it is because I feel that all the flags need to be redone.
He's your guy. And I don't want to give it away, but he has a great presentation.
Oh, that's cool. And you know why? I think because I don't believe that, there's the AAA process. Right?
Sure.
I don't believe that people were engaged enough to develop these existing flags. And that's why I don't use mine. And I don't use mine because in the middle of it are those the businesses of great partner of the village. Why am I advertising a private business on my flag?
I see that in a few municipal flags. I see that in a few.
I mean, it's not really the spirit of picking. Maybe the coral reef is, and maybe maybe seafaring is something that I'd rather see on a flag than a business. So, when I saw his request, I thought, I'm going to say yes right away.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I mean, he's basically not trying to say, let me make them for you. Just let me show you how to design flags.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm glad. I'm glad because, everybody will go back to British Proud. Everybody likes that. Everybody wants to feel that. And most of my colleagues are on board with it. And perhaps they didn't think too far into it, but for me, it was like, is that really indicative of that village? Does that really exude the spirit of PT, right? And the people of PT. So, and if it doesn't, then, and do the people of PT have a say in that design? Because that's theirs, and it becomes theirs or ours. So, I would prefer that the people have more say in it, and at least have a meeting or a town hall and say, hey, this is our concept. Any suggestions? Give them 30 days to, submit any kind of rendering or additions or whatever it is, right? Just so that, if it's your home, right, you're going to want to say in what part your house ends up looking and how it's decorated. And maybe in your case, your wife's the boss because I think she really that's great. But, in our case, the people are right? So they need to have a say in what that's going to look like.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm excited about it.
Well, thanks, Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to hang out with you on the radio. So thank you so much for always being available. Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
Thanks, Pauly. You stay dry over there.
I will. Okay. And Josh, talk to you soon. The president of the Mayor's Council of Guam, Mayor of Piki. That's also Pika's best forever, right? The undefeated Mayor, Jesse Allen. 2:52 in the afternoon. We'll take the break. Away 105.
CBS News Brief, the National Hurricane Center describes Hurricane Harry as better organized as it heads toward the East Coast. Michael Brennan is the center's director.
The entire East Coast from South Florida up through the Carolinas and Mid-Atlantic states, since even northern New England has at least a moderate or even high risk of rip currents.
Will there be a meeting between Russian President Putin and Ukraine's President Zelensky? Correspondent Matthew Curtis.
They are moving full steam ahead. There are meetings taking place across Europe between European leaders and U.S. leaders with the goal of really hammering this out, figuring out what it would look like sometime in the next 10 days.
Former Iowa Olympics gymnastic coach Larry Gardner has been arrested on child pornography charges. CBS's Rana Zell.
Before coming to Iowa, Gardner was accused of abuse in Mississippi. And after his suspension from coaching, he went on to work in a hospital. CBS News has been trying to locate legal counsel for Gardner for comment.
CBS News Radio. I'm Michael Toscano.
A major AI company prohibited job seekers from using AI on their applications. Here's why it changed its policy. I'm Jeff Colvin of Fortune magazine with the Fortune Business Update. The company is Anthropic, and its AI chatbot is called Claude. Like some other companies, it prohibited job applicants from using AI to refine their resumes, cover letters, and applications. But now the company says it uses Claude every day. In fact, it uses Claude to create job descriptions, improve interview questions, and manage candidate communications. So the company figured it's only fair that candidates can use such tools too. But only up to a point. Job seekers still can't use AI when given problems to solve or being interviewed. And with AI improving by the week, don't be surprised if the rules at Anthropic and elsewhere change again before long. I'm Jeff Colvin.
Great harmony with Discord. This is Sound Buddies, and I'm Alan Davidson. Gamers know Discord, but there's a lot more to this innovative social media service with a weird name, and much more than just the latest Minecraft hacks. For example, did you know that you can use Discord to build your own unique online community, both for live chat and video communication? And with thousands of dedicated Discord servers, now covers huge and growing variety of different topics. Even though the shift started only 5 years ago, more than 150 million users are now benefiting from the platform's versatility. And more join as non-gamers leave other social platforms looking for new online homes. So who knows? Maybe the next breakout Discord server will be yours. Check out the world of Discord at discord.com with Soundbites and Alan Davidson for CBS News.
And the Brightside Show is proudly sponsored by Liza Animal Hospital. The Go Glum Support Local campaign is proudly sponsored by Liza Animal Hospital, where we treat your pets like value family members. Do not. Liza, the Liza case in animal care.
One pill can kill. Big pills often contain fentanyl. It only takes 2 milligrams of fentanyl equivalent to a few grains of salt to be lethal. Those pills are often sold on social media platforms, making them available to anyone with a smartphone.
Talk earlier on introduced about the dangers of misusing prescription drugs and the lethal dangers of chemical drugs used to treat them.
Stay informed, stay safe, one pill can kill. Hafa Adai, we're on Farm FM, and we want to talk. We want to talk about the things that are important to our island and our community, and we want to talk with you. If you want to do a conversation, if you want to chime in, we welcome it. We welcome all parts of you. Our thoughts, our perspectives, and our watching us. 671-923-181. If that line is too weak, then call us at 923-1852. This is Talk for Everyone. Thanks for listening. The rain will fall out there. Order online at SilverDefense.com for pickup if you convenient or delivery right to your doorstep. Online order is subject to the $12 startup and ridiculous. Even at Submarine and Refund Savings.
On the Brightside Show, and looking at it, and Well, there the house area. Yes, it looks like it's picking up. Coming from wide, we got that going on construction, as well as looking down you see the sun, some little area. Let's see here. Looks like it's free flowing over there. Let's see the view over there. And then around area, it's looking pretty good. Just that there's a house going on there with the construction going on. And then let's take a look at the traffic advancing report that I have for you today. And what's coming along, paving and what do you see what's on outside? Construction activities will continue along Route 10 between the Route 4 and intersection of the timing from August 14th to the 23rd of 2025. Then again, 9:20 between 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday. Morning to expect lunch and dry wood coffee. And that is the road in traffic report. Now here it is. Let's get back into the show of Brightside. The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show host, just the host, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Dreams Media, or any of our partners. As each show provides quality, description, and dating content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. If you're tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
Evil Weather, it's Thursday, right? We're going to take this break again, get you into the CBS News, and then Jordine's going to give you another one of those real-deal traffic reports, and thank all of our sponsors here on the Bright Side with me, Pauly Suba. Our number again, 671-922-1051. We're online to wave105.com, and our YouTube channel, Wave 105.1 FM Guam. Time now for your CBS News. The Hafa Adai is Wave 105 CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance. I'm Michael Soscano. The latest advisories from the National Hurricane Center describe tropical storm conditions now at or near portions of North Carolina's coastal areas. And that's where we find CBS News meteorologist Al Marciano. Dangerous waves are swelling in the North Carolina coast, where lifeguards have already rescued dozens of people from riptides. The governor warned residents to stay on the ocean. I want to emphasize the importance of taking this storm seriously because it's a serious storm, and conditions can deteriorate quickly. Hurricane Aaron is moving up from the coast hundreds of miles offshore of the Outer Banks. They're preparing as if it were going to make it a rough step. There are tropical storm warnings issued up along the coast to New Jersey as Aaron moves north. On the other side of the country, there's extreme heat and heightened fire danger for most of Southern California. CBS meteorologist David Parkinson tells us the alert is in effect Sunday. The big concern when you have this level of heat and an offshore wind is that generally you do actually have a higher fire risk. That's because the ground is dried out even more than it normally is. The ground is already incredibly dry in Southern California. You do sometimes get some offshore wind events that come through the canyons and increase the wind. Later, the defense chief met today to discuss what security guarantees they could offer Ukraine to help bring about a peace deal with Russia. Meanwhile, CBS's Howie Williams reports from Kyiv. The war continues.
A Russian drone attack targeted an industrial area in the Odessa region, according to officials, starting a large fire. Another drone attack wounded 14, including 3 children. So while others talk about peace, Ukrainians are still living and dying in a war zone.
The Transportation Security Administration, TSA, will begin to introduce what they call biometric e-gates to get passengers through security faster. CBS News travel editor Peter Greenberg explains.
All you do is you go in front of the gate, 3 seconds later it takes your picture, the gate's open, and you go directly to the security for your carry-on bags. So there's no need to stand in line at a TSA checkpoint with a TSA officer.
Now, once you get up in the air, you might like to look out of the window, especially if you think you've paid for it. Our Michael Lawrence reports some passengers are suing because that did not happen.
Some seats on Boeing and Airbus planes lack windows because of the placement of air conditioning ducts or electrical wires. Some other airlines and travel websites do flag those seats during the booking process. The lawsuits seek millions of dollars in damages for more than 1 million passengers of both United and Delta.
Delta Airlines was commenting on the suit. Next is CBS News.
Progressive Insurance, with insurance for cars, homes, boats, motorcycles, RVs, and commercial vehicles at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audio Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually often notice on my old $5,000 hearing aids.
Not the real common hearing aids. Join over 1 million Hoovy customers by going to audiohearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com. I'm Matt Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Your car steering wheel could be a kitchen combo. At least 24 people have died and many more injured because their airbags fired shrapnel after the car was waiting. Tens of millions of cars have been recalled. If you suffered cuts that required stitches, hearing or vision loss, or broken bones, please contact us today. You could be owed money for medical bills and other damage. Morgan & Morgan. Visit us at badairbags.com for an office near you. Primary health and not guaranteed senior outcome.
The Federal Trade Commission has sued LA Fitness for making it hard to cancel memberships.
The FTC says the gym chain often limited in-person cancellations to specific times, such as when people are at work, or required members to speak to a certain manager who was often not present. Consumers who tried to cancel by mail were told their requests had to be sent certified or registered mail. The FTC says LA Fitness has even trained staff to reject escalated complaints, and it says consumers who try to cancel their memberships by stopping charges to their bank or credit card find their rebilled, often under new account numbers. Christopher Cruz, CBS News, Washington.
A ship that glides like a pelican and could change travel and defense. Region Track is testing a winged passenger carrier in Narragansett Bay, Rhode Island. It glides over the water using hydrofoils up to 30 feet above the surface. Region says the technology has commercial ferry and military applications. Michael Fitzgerald, CBS News.
Using the brain power. 105 FM. I want to find out more than just a station. We're your platform, your voice, your conversation. Talk about what matters most to you today and in our nation. And the more you can be part of it. Got something to say or listening. Different things bring life. Let's talk, let's debate, let's connect. Because every voice counts. Call our WhatsApp at 671-923-1051. Radio for everyone. This is 105 FM, the Talking One. The One Guy, no person is never friend or really one about. Asking what he says, right after time, your foundation for all things environment and adventure in the One Guy Club.
Today, you tune into Wave 105 FM. The Brightside with Pauly Suba every weekday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. You can listen to us online on our website, thewave105.com, or watch us live on YouTube Wave 105.1 FM Guam. If you want to join us, the conversation, please call us at 671-922-1051 or 922-1052. Or you can send us a comment on WhatsApp at 671-922-1051. And the Bright Show is probably sponsored by Chili's. Chili's Grill and Bar at Chili's More Life, great food, and memories happen here. And also brought to you by Coast School of Guam, Learn Code, and lead the island's first coding boot camp. Your future in tech begins with us at the School of Guam. And also probably sponsored by GTA, we start with you. And Micropack. Open our team community and more location. Make sure you follow our Instagram at Micropack671 and Micropack Inc. on Facebook for exciting deals and promotions. Also sponsored by Central Securities Solutions, Guam premier provider of personal security service, delivering optional elections in competitive service across commercial, industrial, and residential sectors. Sherwin Williams, rain coming fast. Are you ready to defend your home with Sherwin Williams engineering for Guam's dry to wet season? Built from made to last. Protect what matters today and after Williams. Subway, pizzas in just a few clicks. Order online at subwaypacific.com for pickup at your convenience for delivery right at your doorstep. Ordering at subwaypacific.com is fine by good to go. We deliver at Subway. You got a request to be fresh. And now here it is. It's time for your real deal traffic report. And that's what happened right now is Route 15 to the road closure of one lane only. Picking up, there's a little bit right there. If you're looking for another route, try going on Cruising Airport Road and go around, and you'll get to your destination really quickly. And now let's have the conference advisory. Construction activities will continue along Route 10 with 3 moving corner processions and public drainage from August 18th to 23rd, 2025. There will be lane closure between 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday. Weather to afternoon and drive with confidence. We are here back into the show with the Brightside August Pauly Suba. The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show host, guests, and co-hosts. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Weekday FM, Limited Media, or any of our programs. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in our discussion. Thank you for tuning in to Way 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
All right, welcome back to Brightside right here on Wave 105. My name is Pauly Suba, 671-922-1051 or 1052. Beautiful weather. It's Thursday, August 21st. We're online at wave105.com as well as our YouTube channel, Wave 105.1 FM Guam. Jody, do you mind we'll try to get a hold of Senator Chris Barnett? Yeah? In the meantime, there's a couple releases now starting to come out from like Senator Parrish's office, Senator Carlos Hadaway's office, amendments that were introduced into the budget bill, but then also just regular bills that were sent over and signed by Acting Governor Josh Tenora, right? So there's one here, Bill 16, now Public Law 38-37. The law aims to increase transparency and accountability across Guam's government by strengthening oversight of public agencies' hiring process. And so when you look at Bill 16, it focuses on unclassified or at-will government jobs, jobs not protected by Guam's civil service merit system. And according to the Guam Organic Act, it requires that government hiring be based on a merit system as far as practical. Lawmakers argue that too many positions are being put into the bill, states that too many people are put in these positions, right? And so the merit system is being bypassed. Lawmakers believe unclassified hiring is being used too often, even for regular positions. and then existing options already exist under current law to hire quickly or feel hard to recruit jobs. In the bill, it states that there are some abuse concerns other than top staff of elected or appointed officials, directors, judges, and their immediate assistants. There's little justification for bypassing the merit system. So the bill requires two yearly reports. Every government branch, agency, autonomous agency, and public corporation, including GVB, must submit reports twice a year, covering October to March and then April to September. And they must report each unclassified position in agency. They have to report the job title, the number, the pay grade and step, the salary, and the reason why it wasn't practical to hire through the merit system. Who are exempt of elected officials, appointed officials, directors, judges, and their immediate subordinates. Positions explicitly made unclassified by law. The bill does not ban unclassified hiring, but it does force transparency. Agencies will have to justify why each unclassified job isn't being filled under the normal merit system, and then the bill wants to discourage these agencies from bypassing civil service protections unless there's strong reason. So in Senator Parence's statement here, she says this reform raises the standard. It ensures our government is held accountable to fair hiring practices that uplift qualified workers, and it discourages potential corruption in the hiring of government employees. She says this is a win for every member of our community who expects better from their government and now has the ability to demand it. She said, I'm grateful to my colleagues, the community, Nagahaga, Leon Guerrero, and Segundo Megalohi Tenorio for supporting this measure. And so that bill, Bill 16, is now Bill 38, Public Law 3837. She put out another release on Bill 100 that is now Bill 3849. I don't know why I keep saying Bill. Public Law 3849. I must be tired too, just like the senators, watching the budget hearing past midnight last night. On this one, Public Law 3849, she says it marks a bold step towards promoting early childhood literacy and school readiness in children from birth to 8 years old. The law will provide support to parents and guardians of young children by expanding training amongst various service providers in early childhood development. She said in this release, oh no, this is actually somebody else that says this. Dr. Napati Rivera, an early childhood education expert. Research consistently shows that high-quality early childhood education lays the foundation for lifelong learning, health, and success. Children who have access to early learning opportunities are more likely to enter school ready to learn, perform better academically, and develop the social and emotional skills necessary for productive citizenship. This will help bridge gaps in access, improve program quality, and support families who are striving to give their children the best possible start in life. Let me see here. So when we go back to, again, that's Bill 100, now Public Law 3849. When we go back to the amendments, some of the amendments that there were so many of them yesterday, and so I couldn't keep up. To be honest with you, when I heard people raising their voices, that's what got my attention. I'm like, okay, what is the controversy here? So the first one was Senator Vince Dorlo. Do you remember when GDOE was having issues with mold mitigation? And basically, the government of Guam stepped up and said, we'll help you with that. there was, I want to say like $20 million that GDOE had for mold mitigation, and they transferred it over to the executive branch to assist with that. So, Senator Vince Borja says, when he was talking about it, he wants that money to go back to GDOE. The question is, did they spend the money? And not only does Senator Vince Borja think they did, but also Senator Chris Duenas, they both believe that they didn't. That there was probably contracts that were put out, but nobody fulfilled those contracts. So that money's sitting somewhere, and they wanted to go back to GDOE, and that part I do agree. It should go back to GDOE. And so, but something that I didn't realize, Senator Vince Borja said that they might have used that money and spent it on the 14 counts. So, remember after Typhoon Mawar and we're having difficulty opening up the schools, right? They needed to pass their sanitation inspections and also deal with the whole Typhoon Mawar, post-Typhoon Mawar cleanup. And so the governor of Guam activated, mobilized all these government agencies, and different agencies went to different schools to set it up. To be honest with you, I just thought, they're doing this because it's the right thing to do. And I'm sure they're doing it because it's the right thing to do. But they all have day jobs, right? And they're all working during their office hours to get it done. And so I'm not thinking that they need to be paid extra to do it. But maybe there were some materials that needed to be purchased. Maybe there was some overtime. Maybe some employees were working on weekends. Maybe there's gas that needed to be bought. And were they using that money that GDOE gave them, that $20 million, that was supposed to go towards mold mitigation or to repair fences, and they're using that money for these short teams. Vince Borja said that that's what could have happened with this money. As he says, reportedly spent on fencing and short team costs for that, and he wants them to go back to GDOE, obviously for fencing and school maintenance and related needs. So that definitely got my attention for sure. And then he also had an amendment for the Salapi Principal. Basically, it's money that principals can use for minor repairs or purchases, right? And so they passed that amendment too as well. That mandates that funding continues. There's a number of them too. There's a number of other amendments, but I want to play. You have it, right? Hey, the Dr. Rivera. That's the PIO of. I didn't know that. Viva Rivera, the PIO of Department of Public Health and Social Services. That quote that we read. That's her now. Nice. Let's see here. I want to play this one audio file. And basically, it's money, again, that Senator Chris Burnett is advocating for money to go to the Guam Commission for Educator Certification. Let me see here. And so the first one that we're going to play is actually Senator Chris Duenas. Because what's happening is they're trying to appropriate some money, and even last night, throughout the entire budget talk, it it always went back to repealing or rolling back the BPT from 5 to 4.5 or even to 1%. And it always went back to trying to budget balance the budget properly. And there's two sides because, again, Senator Chris Duane is advocating to also assist businesses. Senator Vince Borna shares the same mentality too. And so I wanted to play a couple of these audio files and then Senator Chris Barnett's response to what they say. So we'll start with Senator Chris Duane.
I don't want to belabor the point necessarily, but I would just say we're the amendment for the same reasons prior in 2026 and not negated. I think it would be my best to go over the reasons of this today. But I look for one thing. I get the this body, and this one's got to be done far as we go forward and see what the solution is to this. But this constant messaging of how horrible we are, they're keeping us relevant. I'm rolling back the BPT after 7 years, trying to give our businesses out there an opportunity to have the same realization of opportunities that the government has had all these years of being so oppressed with cash and not doing much for it, in terms of tangible realities in our community. Just a whole bunch of cash, paydays, some of them worthy, others not so much. I was waiting for the time to just go ahead and say, because I wasn't going to count every single time at nauseam that message goes out. As with the private sector and those individuals that have endured the 5% BPT for all these years, sometimes bad people. Just bad people, Like they don't have employees in payroll. Like they don't have overhead. Like they weren't affected by housing law. Like they haven't had issues with tourism falling apart and they're coming to invest in it now and getting these back up. They haven't endured anything. They're just greedy. That's all. Just greedy people. And so I know that the closing narrative probably would have been bad again, so I just wanted to get in front of it because this is exactly what continues to be spoken about here. And I tell you, there's a lot of people out there. There's 46,000 people on this island, Mr. Chair, that work in the private sector. Most of them work 2 or 3 jobs just to get by. With every closing business, a lot of them don't have their second or third job anymore because it went away when that restaurant closed, when that store closed. And everybody wants to predict what a business makes, Mr. Jim. Everybody wants to predict that they're so rich because maybe they have a couple $1 million in their revenue that it shows. But they got no idea what the overhead is. What do they sell? A product? What service do they provide? Do they have 50, 60, 100 employees that are payroll? Do they have operational costs like vehicles, insurance, all kinds of overhead? Mr. Chill, I'm not going to predict, and I'm sure you don't have to go on the record, but I'm sure your margins within your business are pretty tight. You've said this on the record, Mr. Chair. You haven't raised your prices in probably over 10 years. For a very, very, very worthy a service you do to help families in your time of need when they're so bereaved and hurt. to lay their loved ones to rest. You know what? I'm sure you haven't done that because I've been there with you just visiting, saying hi to and hi. And watching them stand and feel their clutching their hands, crying. Saying, can you help us? Can you start that? We're going to get some sooner or later and hope to God that we'll get enough to be able to do that. I know you're probably embarrassed at some of those things, but I only say because I know it's true. I know that you probably haven't raised your prices in all those years. And you know what it is to help people. I'm just not going to sit here and tolerate the constant demonization of businesses because they're bad, greedy people. You want to get a tax through, financial do this, you kind of have the power of all this executive branch. Why don't you stand up for the bill that exempts the big fat cats? I object to this, and I object to the narrative, Mr. Chair.
And so I want to play Senator Vince Borja as well. Just with the amendments that Senator Chris Barnett is trying to do, either send money over to the Veterans Affairs Office or GDOE or the Mayor's Council, and just continue to get shut down. So here's Senator Vince Borja.
I think, consistent message for me with the FY 2026 is, I'm not comfortable with the attempt to, or trying to spend money. I mean, we already have $25 million projected to allocate it to appropriate it. That doesn't even exist. But what I want to say is, I get the intent, the intent in giving money to the PTO, because the PTO, they still need it, because the principals weren't getting the staffing principal, but in the previous amendment that we talked about earlier that passed, there should be $1.2 million set aside that will go to the principals that should be able to help the coordinate on top of it to support the PTOs as well. Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to speak on this amendment. Thank you.
All right, and then the last one that you're going to hear is Senator Chris Barnett in response to those two testimonies.
Thank you, colleagues, for the discussion on the amendment. What you're doing really is $25,000 going to the parents and organizations at the schools. But the people are watching, Mr. Chair. It's not a narrative, it's the facts. It's the facts, Mr. Chair. The facts are we're sitting here arguing about $205,000 for parent teacher organizations because the biggest of the big corporations who, I never said the words bad cat, greedy, bad businesses, that's coming from that side. Because it's a common tactic to exaggerate the arguments of my opponent, and that's what we see in this session. My dear people of Guam, I know you're watching, and because you're watching, you know that what we tried to do was meaningfully implement a BPP reduction that addressed and helped the small businesses, not a broad stroke application that's going to lead to $40 million loss in revenue. So now we're having these conversations we can't give the veterans $1 million. We're going blue in the face and we're going to leave in prison. Why are we leaving prison now? Well, did you read the news? He was in prison yesterday. And it's just not a narrative, Mr. Chair. It's not the narrative. We offered a real solution to this catastrophic loss of revenue. A solution that ensured struggling businesses would enjoy a 3% business privilege tax rate. So no matter what, both to the last side of the aisle, that's what we proffered over here. Meaningful implementation of a business privilege tax to benefit the small, struggling businesses. And everyone else is doing well, they pay their fair share. And then we have schools that can function. We don't have a department of education that can be an exhaustion model. And it could have been reasonable on that side too. They could have done a 0.25%, or they could have just been honest and
let us deal with this budget without the BPT reduction because no one said this was going to be in the budget plan. No one said they were going to ram this down the people of Guam's throat at the expense of critical government services, at the expense of your tax refund. And so, Mr. Chair, it's not a narrative. It's on full display for the people of Guam to see that the priority, the promise that was made to reduce the PPT is being fulfilled. That's the promises that were made to improve conditions at the Guam Memorial Hospital. The promises that were made to ensure that we had improvements in the public school system. The promises that were made that we were going to bring better public safety. Those promises aren't being kept. And this budget bill breaks those promises. It is not a narrative, my dear people of Guam. It's reality. And it's happening right now at the expense of your tax refunds, your kids' public schools. The PTOs can't even get $5,000. We can't even give the veterans $1 million, but we're giving the biggest of the big businesses $40 million this year and $40 million next year. So it's not a narrative, my dear people of Guam. It's on full display. We wouldn't be having these arguments if there was something more reasonable put on the table. Let's say 0.25% reduction. Or let's work together and ensure that the small businesses enjoy the meaningful benefits of BPT reduction. And my dear people of Guam, I know you've been watching this session. We've been very consistent in our message, not our narrative. And the message is, this BPT reduction is going to be disastrous for the Guam Department of Education. It's going to be disastrous for the Guam Memorial Hospital. It's going to be disastrous for your tax refunds. And it's going to be disastrous for our own and her people. But promise made. Promise made, promise kept. So there's nothing to say.
All right, and so there was a little bit more back and forth later on, and not I guess, what is it, like, I think 6 hours of amendments, right? Well, a good amount of that was the discussion with GVB, but they went all the way until past midnight, too, for sure. And like I said, anytime somebody raised their voice, whether it was Senator Vince Borja or Senator Chris Barnett or Senator Will Parkinson, it definitely got my attention. And so, on the other side of this break, I know we're going to be getting Senator Carlo Tadadui later on in the 4 o'clock hour, but 2 amendments and some controversial amendments too, right? I mean, so we'll play an audio file of how it all went down with the amendment to eliminate the notarized bill of sales for vehicles, right? And so that succeeded. So I don't want to leave you hanging. Spoiler alert, it did succeed yesterday. And so what happened was, again, he moved to override the governor's veto to basically set up a bill of sale for purchasing of vehicles, right? But DRT asked that they do this with a notary public so they can track it. And we're saying by using the notary public, they're going to be able to track it more efficiently, these bill of sales. Because you'll have to attach this notary public, this notary with the bill of sales. But that has been very inconvenient. So she basically told the island, after she was getting these phone calls, that it's inconvenient and costly. And then people leave off island and it's difficult for them to complete this notary. She said that she would work to amend that law. And so it's part of the substitute budget bill now. And we'll play that 3:37 in the afternoon, Wave 105.
CBS News Group, hurricane Aaron is hitting North Carolina with coastal flooding and strong winds. In Ravenna, President David Ford advising potential booming. So I'm not going to walk to the ocean. We'll go on to this ocean to get the house Aaron may strengthen as it moves up off the east coast. Correspondent Tom Williams reports NATO defense chiefs face a summons finding a deal to end Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
The Trump administration has ruled out NATO membership in Ukraine, which would protect the country. Russia has ruled out peacekeepers from NATO countries, finding something that would be acceptable to all parties may be next to impossible.
TSA will begin using biometric scanners to speed up airport security. Travel editor Tina Davis.
It will make it easier for travelers to get through once they're registered. For frequent travelers and travelers within the U.S. who travel more than once a year, it will make a huge difference.
CBS News Day. I'm Michael Costello.
I'm Larry Maggie with the Connect Safely Report. The American Psychological Association released a health advisory about the impact of artificial intelligence on adolescent well-being. We found that the impacts are complex and context-dependent, neither wholly good nor bad. For learning, it said, AI can assist in brainstorming, creating, organizing, summarizing, and synthesizing information. But it also found that adolescents may struggle to distinguish between the simulated empathy of an AI chatbot and genuine human understanding. Connect Safely Education Director Terry Gallagher suggests that parents model their own positive use of AI.
The more we show them how we're using it and how we're thinking about our interactions can encourage their healthy development and use of AI over time.
More at connectsafely.org/radio. With the Connect Safely Report, I'm Larry Magid for CBS News.
Workers on the move, hoping for better pay. I'm Mark Hamrick with a Bankrate.com Personal Finance Minute. A new Bankrate survey finds nearly half of those in the workforce plan to look for a new job in the next 12 months. That includes 1 in 4 who say they're very likely to look for a new position. This comes at a time when the job market has demonstrated resilience, but it has also continued to cool. Even with the unemployment rate recently slipping to 4.1%, that's considered strong, historically speaking. Others plan to do other things to try to improve their workplace plight. 44% of workers say they plan to ask for a raise over the next year. That includes the majority of the youngest people in the workforce, members of Generation Z and Millennials. Many workers indicate they're prepared to be mobile, with 18% saying they're likely to relocate for a new job. About 1 in 3 say they're likely to ask for more work flexibility, such as different hours or the ability to work remote or from home. For more, check out Bankrate.com. I'm Mark Hamrick.
Today, Guam, engaging in conversation, minutes programs with Guam with Johnny and Rick. We want to hear concerns or comments. Who do you know the answer for in your time? Johnny and Rick goes to them on Wave 105.
It's the Guam Auto Shop Overstock Sellout, and our manager is absolutely crazy for Japanese deals. Right now, sales off in a brand new 2025 Home Spot for just $24.95. That's $2 off the original price. Plus, check out our high-quality premium vehicles, fully inspected and ready for the road. Get pre-approved online at HomeAutoShop.com or for 4,000 auto decision calculator. It's the Guam Auto Overstock Sellout, and everything must fit. Double the speed of zero technology with PCA fiber. Feel the super focus and reachable fiber with inside a 200 speed with upload speed 10 seconds and speed. The water has the power to the full you can join us to go to and hear about it. Now we also have a sign up for our $247 month. Visit PCA.com. Abroad to perform for every let's go play sweet, a little spicy, and no more delicious. Choose your taste both for your best and hot butter pepperoni or the chicken nugget chicken burger. What person though? I'm ready to eat for a little summer. A Subway is a one-time chicken fry.
And then looking at the top of the card, here, there is so many. Right where McDonald's is at, going up north, going for DFT, it's picking up over there, yeah. And also here on the Bergana area, going for revenue tax. There's a closure there that's going to be only 1 lane, and that will also cost us 2 lanes. So if you're looking for another route, get a teaser, use it, forward, make your way. And now let's take a look here at the traffic advisory. Construction activities will continue along Route 10 between the Route 4 intersection and further going east from August 18th to the 23rd, 2025. There will be a lane closure between 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday. Motorists should expect a race and right-way crossing. And here it is. We are taking a look here. It's time for the gun check to begin. Are you ready? The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show host, Jeff and Pauly. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Linux Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to Brightside here on Wave 105. So last night, one of the amendments was introduced by Senator Pauly. She gave us a heads up too. She said that she was going to do this. She was going to look to introducing this amendment during the miscellaneous appropriations, right? In the substitute budget bill, probably to streamline it, to just make things move faster, rather than wait for the next session to introduce this amendment to this law. And so I assume that that's what she wanted to do, right? So she introduced the amendment. There were nobody objected to it, and so the amendment passes now attached to the substitute budget bill. And so if you remember, he was basically saying that DRT looks at the Kelly Blue Book for the value of a vehicle. But, a lot of times these cars can be damaged, and so is it really the value? So DRT was saying, okay, fine. If you want to admit the Kelly Blue Book, we ask that you, in this law, make sure that it's a notarized bill of sale. And so that's what has been part of it. The actual sell price has been notarized between you and the buyer. But what we found, or what has been happening, every car sale requires a notarization, even the dealerships. So it has become very inconvenient. So here's her giving you the details of why she needed to amend this. And then, like I said, it wasn't very controversial. What's controversial is the concerns and the people calling in. And so she's trying to just make it right here.
Mr. Chair, this amendment simply what it does is on section 16, let's start from the beginning and produce it, because there's a lot of people who want this amendment to happen and to explain to them, so that I'm sure a lot of us have been given some place about a bill that was recently passed. And it required a notarized document in order to get the name transfer from the vehicle that you've just purchased. And the notary to determine what tax that you pay for the vehicle, so that the revenue tax can apply the 2.5% tax toward it. This actually has been causing more problems than we thought. It was like the direction of the revenue tax that wanted to put the notary in, but we're finding out that you have all these automobile companies on this island trying to get a notarized every vehicle that's being sold and making it very difficult. especially when people leave our island. We have a lot of military that when they leave island, they leave their car behind and they sell it in a bond. And it's very hard to get a notarized between both individuals, the buyer and the seller, especially if the buyers are foreign. So that's what this does. It just prints out notary and it incorporates other forms of verification may be accepted, such as the Cumulative Director of the Department of Revenue and Taxation. So it doesn't have to be notarized. The other one is we're finding out that many times when you purchase a vehicle, the vehicle maybe needs repair, it's used. That 30 days is not enough time for them to transfer the vehicle over to the new owner. Sometimes it's in the shop for many months. So what we're doing here is basically extending that. Instead of 30 days, to incorporate 180 days, which is 6 months. Mr. Chair, the current law right now, of course, before this bill had passed, when they passed the bill, there really was not any penalty for fines if you didn't transfer. So, because there is penalty and fines, Mr. Chair, we're going to allow that to extend it to 6 months. So, that gives them more leeway, before going to the penalty. And that's my amendment.
There you go. And so nobody objected, and so that amendment passed again, making it easier for people to sell and buy cars without the notarization. It will make it for a more realistic time frame, so 6 months to complete the title transfer, especially if the car needs repairs, and it also still ensures taxes are collected, but in a more flexible way. It extends that transfer deadline. Right now, buyers have 30 days to transfer a vehicle into their name. That's often too short if the car needs the repairs or is stuck in a shop. And so the amendment extends this to 6 months or 180 days. The other one that was more controversial, right, because this is actually the third time in the substitute budget bill that we move to add this amendment to maintain the 5% BPT for $10 million military contracts. And so, again, it passed, but not without a number of people testifying for and against. And I think, let me see here, because we're going to get Senator telepathically on, we can skip hers, which he'll be on after the break. We'll skip hers, and we'll go to Senator Vince Borja, 2 hours and 3 minutes. And so he objects to the maintaining the 5% BPT for $10 million military contract. So here's his, and I definitely want to play the Matao before we get to the break.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. I think we entertained this amendment in Chapter 1. I think there was an attempt in Chapter 1 more. But I think for me, I'm all about, charging people or having people pay their fair share of tax. And to me, I think it's unfair when you say, because you're only temporary, but we make a lot of money, because we're going to give what's out of our work. We're going to help some others in the community, just like you, because you don't get temporary and you bring a lot of money and we need a lot of money to fix a lot of our problems. The claim that some of I guess like some of the claims, the environment, I don't agree with that. The roads, I'm not sure, some of it we can own, but those problems existed even before the military got excited. It was in Hafa Adai. Everybody has been in that road for many, many years. That road was broken, and there was a lot of potholes for a very long time. And then, I think the way I want to, the analogy I want to use is, it's like when you go to a store and we're going to decide how much we're going to charge you. It's like saying because you make a lot more money than the person next to you, I'm going to charge you a little bit more because you have more money to pay. So, you know, I try to offer another proposal in regards to if it's about $10 million, doesn't make sense, then take the term military contract out of that, Mr. Chair. Then I can support that. But to just say because you're a military contractor, I think we should pay, we're going to make you pay a higher BBT. I think that's just unfair. I'm going to respectfully object to this amendment for Mr. Chair.
All right, that's Senator Bigford in a roundabout way, right? He got to it. Unfair to single out DoD contractors just because they are temporary and profitable. Suggests that he's all for doing a tiered tax system, just take out the word military. So here's Senator Shanga Matata, though, that says, who calls it out as unconstitutional. He even cites the supremacy clause in the U.S. Constitution, and that's a concern, right? When I reached out to the governor's office, they cited the same thing. There are concerns. But acting Governor Josh Tenorio recently said, I hope they do something and make sure that the military contracts stay at 5% BPP. And he's on the record for saying that. So here's Senator Shanga Matata.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I object to this amendment. The Federal Supremacy Clause, which is noted in Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution, prohibits state or territorial laws from interfering with federal functions. Mr. Chairman, higher tax rates applied only to U.S. Department of Defense contractors for reducing the BPT for non-DoD related activity, but keeping the 5% for DoD activity would likely be interpreted as an attempt to indirectly tax the federal government, and that would be deemed unconstitutional. Mr. Chair, key United States Supreme Court rulings over the last 160 years, and I understand go back to the end of the Civil War in 1865, from 33 years that have long joined the American family, have determined that states and territories can't hinder federal operations through discriminatory taxation. Mr. Chair, it is not possible to levy a fair tax on construction projects inside the fence versus levying a lower tax on non-DoD projects outside the fence. A tax that targets DoD contractors solely on their federal clients is arbitrary and discriminatory, in my opinion, Mr. Chair. And also, there is, again, case law. And this would make it very, very vulnerable to a legal challenge. The federal acquisition regulation governs what costs are allowable in Department of Defense contracts. A discriminatory tax, Mr. Chair, of DoD contractors, if it's imposed by the local government, would result in the federal government not reimbursing the contractor. Hence, the contractor would confront them. Those contractors are our friends, our families, who have built businesses in Guam since we joined that American family. This would certainly, Mr. Chairman, limit Guam's ability to attract competitive bids for federal projects inside the fence and outside. Mr. Chair, it's about fairness. And until that time that we maybe take it outside of this particular process here in the Budget Act into a public hearing, again, I object. I think it should be fair. And again, let's take this out to another process away from this particular Budget Act. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Anyone else?
All right, so I just want to play one more that is also against the amendment. The reason why I want to play the ones that are against again is because we're going to be having a conversation with Senator Pauly Suba, and so he argues against everything that Shanga Matata said, Vince Forha said, and this one. So we're skipping to Larry, Paris, Parkinson. We're going to Lujan, 2:30. Yeah? And so it's Senator Jesse Lujan who says it fails the test of logic, fairness, and legality. He argues that federal contractors are key partners building schools, hospitals, and utilities. Taxing them more is punitive. And so, I mean, you can watch and hear what we might get to playing Talani, Perry, Parkinson, and Barnett's response to all of that too, because everything is a counter argument. But we're getting Senator Tello try to be on live. I just want you to hear the argument to her amendment. And so here's Senator Jesse Lujan.
Colleagues like Riley to oppose this amendment because let's understand it's a test of logic, clarity, and of course federal law. First of all, logic, we cannot, on the one hand, say we want to attract federal investment, build our economy, and create good paying jobs for our people. Yet on the other hand, impose punitive taxes, specifically targeting those foreign contractors. These federal contractors are not just outside companies. They're the ones that are building the schools, upgrading our hospitals, modernizing our power grid, maintaining the local installations for thousands of foreign families. If we see going on, we are discriminating in taxation. We'll drive up costs, delay projects, and ultimately hurt the people we represent. Secondly, Mr. Chair, on parity, every company doing business is wrong to be treated equally under our tax laws. To carve out one category, federal contractors, and tax them differently is not only bad economic policy, it creates an uneven playing field. Local businesses who partner with federal contractors will also feel the effects. Fairness and parity mean that we cannot adopt the tax code with benefit rights simply because of who their client is. Third, and I think the most important federal law is illegal and wrong as a territory to discriminate against federal contractors in this way. The supremacy clause, as critically stated, of course, by Senator Delgado, your Constitution is clear. Local law cannot stand in conflict with federal law. State law hasn't been restored, but states and territories cannot single out federal contractors for desperate treatment. If it passes amendment, you're not only inviting litigation, you're guaranteeing litigation will happen. And every dollar spent defending an indispensable law is a dollar that could have gone to our hospitals, to our schools, and to our people, Mr. Chairman. In closing, colleagues, this is not about whether you like or dislike federal contractors. This is about respecting the rule of law and gaining fairness in our tax system and ensuring one continues to benefit from billions of dollars of federal investment. Passing this amendment would be illogical, unfair, and illegal. And I urge you to vote no. So, with that, again, Mr. Chairman, you know, so many people.
All right, that's Senator Jesse Lujan. So all of the Democrats voted in favor of the amendment. Senator Tello and Speaker Frank Ross Jr. So that's 8, and so it passed. 4:02 in the afternoon, we are KGUM FM and Get It Guam. We'll be right back.
CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts. I'm Michael Sostano. The rain is also down for North Carolina's Outer Banks as Hurricane Erin washes the area from out in midnight. The National Weather Service says there could be a 4-foot storm surge, but Tony Ramsey and TV's Red Thunder reported there are no people at the beaches. The Kansas City finds the rip currents are powerful and capable dangerous as passenger brigade who underestimate the ocean's pull. That's why many beach goers stay out of the water.
The waves are definitely bigger than what we're used to on a daily basis. Just wanted to come out here and say that
state highways and coastal areas of North Carolina have been closed. Tropical storm warnings are up in effect all the way up to New Jersey's coast. And Menendez brothers in prison for the murders of their parents separately go before the California State Parole Board Thursday and Friday morning to make their case for release. Correspondent Trevor Evans is in Los Angeles.
So family folks, you also got to look at what they've done in prison. They both gone to school, got to breathe. They've developed programs to help other prisoners in the prison system. So they say that these guys are model prisoners and they should be released. That's something the parole board is going to be considering as well.
California's governor has a final say. The Texas House of Representatives gave final passage to legislation designed to help the Republican Party. CBS's Eric Adai.
After a delay of more than 2 weeks, the Republican-controlled Texas House passed a redistricting bill Wednesday designed to give Republicans 5 more seats in Congress.
The underlying goal of this plan is straightforward. Improve Republican political performance.
That was Republican State Representative Todd Hunter. The Israeli military says its ground offensive to occupy all of Gaza City is now underway with, quote, preliminary action. ABC's Naira Argison reports.
UN Secretary General has made a renewed call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza after Israel said it had begun an offensive to capture Gaza City. Thousands of Palestinians have already fled the assault on Gaza's biggest urban centre after days of heavy bombing.
The homesteaders in Arkansas are trying to create a white-only community, CBS's Michael West.
They call their development in the small Ozarks town of Ravenden Return to the Land. Applicants have to go through an in-person interview and a criminal background check, fill out a questionnaire about their ancestors, and provide photos of their relatives. Housing rights experts say state and federal laws prohibit housing discrimination based on race, but the communities creators say they see a possible opening during the Trump administration.
This is CBS News.
Take O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Hey, it's Mike Rowe. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys. And I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Switch today and save 50% off the first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
The multi-day Air Guitar World Championships is underway in Finland.
The best air shredders from around the globe compete for the title. Contestants wear wild costumes while rocking out with their imaginary guitars. They get judged on their technical merit, stage presence, and airness. Last year's winner, jammed out to Nickelback's Photograph to win the grand prize, a custom-made flying fin guitar. Stacey Lynn, CBS News.
Young Far has announced a 2026 schedule featuring a new straight course in San Diego and a return of Chicagoland Speedway. The All-Star race moves to Dover, Delaware, and the season will conclude at Homestead Miami Speedway. The schedule includes 2 off weekends and runs from February to November. It kicks off at the Clash at Bowman Gray Stadium February 1st, followed by the day of Daytona 500 February 15th. Michael Costello, CBS News.
excited to announce that we're hiring for variety positions with some of Guam's most recognized and respected brands, including Coca-Cola, Starbucks, Chili's, Guns of Guam, Subway, Good to Go, and Cinnamon. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take the next step in your career, this is here for everyone. Explore current opportunities and apply today to apply.guam.com. Your next great opportunity is just employed.
Hafa Adai, you're tuned in to Wave 105 on the Brightside with Pauly Suba every weekday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. You can listen to us online on our website, thewave105.com, or watch us live on YouTube, Wave 105 FM Guam. If you want to join into a conversation, please call us at 671-922-1051 or 922-1052. You can send us your comments on WhatsApp at 671-922-1051. And the Brightside is highly sponsored by Chili's. Chili's Grill and Bar. At Chili's, more life, great food, and memories happen here. And brought to you by Code School of Guam. Learn, code, and move to Island's first coding bootcamp. Your future in tech begins with us at Code School of Guam. GTN, we start with you. Micropop, open at our studio and micro mall location. Make sure to follow our Instagram at micropack671 and micropack Inc. on Facebook for exciting deals and promotions. Also proudly sponsored by Sincere Security Solutions, Guam to be a provider of professional security service, delivering optional excellence in protective service across commercial, industrial, and residential sectors. Sherwin-Williams. The wet season is on the way and your roof needs to be ready. Don't wait for the blazing sun or the pounding rain. Get ahead with weather-ready coating. Be smart, be prepared, and ask Sherwin-Williams. Brought to you by Subway. Eat fresh in just a few clicks. Order online at subwaypacific.com for pickup at our convenience or delivery right at your doorstep. Online, ordering at subwaypacific.com is Pauly Value, powered by Good to Go. We deliver at Subway. You got to refresh to be fresh. And here it is, time for the Real Deal Traffic Report. Let's get the music started. And for the radio traffic authority on the Brightside, second traffic on Route 16 Delgado, looking with the way to the intersection near the Golden Downtown. Traffic is backed up to the intersection near the Guam Fire Station. If you are trying to make your way to either Harmon or Airport Road, you might have to take Route 8 onto East and South Boulevard, making your way to Route 17 or to Harmon on Route 16. Heavy traffic on Route 50, Target Route in Manila. This is by Chico Field due to accident. So if you're trying to make your way to the intersection near the Statutory Supertree, you can take Laguna Way. And also don't forget further into Manila if you're trying to make your way into that area or might go to Route 16 to get to that area. And do have your traffic advisory for the The DPW agency crew will be reviewing right for termination of that hour to the Hawaii Finance Security between 9 and 3 p.m. There will be intervention for the meeting is tentatively scheduled for the following week. The DPW asks motorists to please proceed with parking and remain alert for crowd control signs and alert crews. And that is your radio traffic report here on the Brightside, brought to you by Honest Farm. Schedule programs today at Guam Honest Farm by Pauly Suba and Auto, or view their inventory on their website at guamhonestar.com. Guam Honest Farm, 470 Honor.
views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the co-host, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of weekday FM, Princess Media, or any of our partners. Our features provide quality, respectful, and engaging content and welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Room 15 Restaurant from Sunday Guam. Enjoy the show.
All right, welcome back. You can hear this Thursday, the Brightside here with me, Pauly Suba. We're going to the phone lines now. Senator Kellen Category is on the line. Hafa Adai, Senator. I hope you're well rested.
You know what? You caught me. I was just about to say good morning.
It was a long day. It was a long 2 weeks.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, 10 days.
Yeah.
And to be exact, right?
Yeah.
Monday, day and night, I think there was one. We broke up here, I think, and was, had a little breakthrough to come back by 8:30 the next morning, but, you know, the job needed to get done.
Yeah.
It's just, never complaining about the late nights or what, but, you know, this is the one job that we have, the responsibility of this, of the senators, you know, to get this budget through, to try and pass a balanced budget, make sure we make decisions that are well thought out and get the information to back up whatever we're going to vote on amendments. So, you know, it was a tough one, but there was, like say, a new sheriff in town when it comes to, you know, the oversight chair of appropriations and different rules that, you know, you've been used to looking at Senator Sinopsky, who had this for how many terms? I think 35 or 6 or 7. Three terms, right? 6 or 7. And of his way. So we all got used to that. And then, of course, things change and frustration kicks in.
I'm sure.
Be nice about it.
I'm sure. I sensed a lot of the frustration on both sides, to be honest. But you mentioned that you were going to try to do some things, right? And so I kind of wanted to I played the audio file of you already sharing the amendment that you said that you would introduce in the substitute budget bill that would repeal the notarized bill of sale, right? And so we had this conversation before, but I wanted to also just give you the opportunity to share with our audience why again this law needed to happen, and then what issues constituents were calling your office saying now they're faced with these inconveniences, and why you had to now amend the law.
Well, first, I want to apologize that I should have gone with my first instinct and not incorporate the notary. And so the bill that was passed is Bill 88, if I'm not mistaken, that tries to ensure that we are taxed correctly and not overtaxed like we've been doing for decades when it comes to transferring the name of the new ownership to the next ownership, right? And from one ownership to the next ownership, in other words. And, it was Reverend Tax that, recommended the notary. And, I always try to, at least be fair, or I try and compromise when there's some issues about it. It's hard to, it's hard to teach a new dog new tricks or something, and they're so used to certain ways. So, it turned out, I should have followed my instinct and not incorporate it, because it caused more trouble than anything for the people, and that was not my intention. My intention was to make things a lot easier in a way, but more responsible and, to comply, to get people to follow the rules for their own safety. If you're going to purchase a vehicle and change the ownership to your name, you have a certain amount of time to do so. And you should, because there could be more problems for you down the road if you didn't do the transfer in a timely manner. But the one thing was the notary that was just causing so much trouble for everybody. And not only that, but car dealerships that sell vehicles constantly, and they don't always have a notary on hand, which was not anticipated. It was just for used vehicles. And I think they were getting different requirements from Rev and Tax. So on top of that, people were thinking that they needed the notary for something they sold a month ago, and that's not the case. This law, once the law came into place, that's when it's required. Everything else was grandfathered in. You didn't need it. And people were very confused about it because they had purchased the car and somebody left the island saying with the notary. So I thought, okay, let's just simplify it. And we did. No notary is required. All you need to do is go in there, let them know, sign a paper that I sold this vehicle for, $2,000. And then they have, they take that, you sign that you did, and then they will charge you 2.5% tax on it. And then go from there. Of course, when you're the $25 is the first thing you pay, which is a fee, and then they charge you the tax on it, which I'm still weary about getting charged again on a vehicle that's already been taxed at least 2 other times. The same vehicle. Once it lands in Guam, it's taxed, and then it's taxed again when you sell it. And then to have it be taxed the third time is something I want to look into because, that just doesn't seem right. You talk about double taxation, Pauly.
If it's administrative cost, then I understand that, but I just don't believe that I don't believe $25 is a valid administrative cost, but whatever.
No, which is true. And there's already a $25 charge fee, before you even tax. So that I agree to on the administrative charge. So that's what's going on. So this budget bill, we're going in tomorrow.
Yeah, at 10 a.m., right?
In the budget bill, I incorporated to repeal that section of the requirement of the notary. I also decided to extend the timeline in which you have to go and transfer that name onto your registration. So you buy a vehicle, you have a certain amount of time, which before used to be 30 days, but now 6 months, in order to make that transfer into your name through registration without any penalty. So
you're right.
That's enough time.
Yeah, you're right, though. Some vehicles are in the shop that need to be repaired.
Right, exactly. So that's what it's going to do. I was just as happy getting that amendment in because I heard that there was going to be some pushback trying to get that amendment in. Just as happy as getting my PPP into the military contract.
Oh yeah, there was no one objected to the notarized bill of sale requirement being dropped, right? If I remember, no one did.
I watched, while you're in the legislature, not just sitting there, and people who watch on YouTube. You'll see people walking around left and right, talking to other senators to let them know, like, this is very important. And with this situation, I actually had a couple senators come up to me and say, hey, Senator, we're going to look into this recent legislation that was introduced and find a way to fix it because I'm getting a bunch of calls. I'm probably getting the same calls. And I said, yes, absolutely. The plan was to do that instead of wait later to introduce a whole new bill to repeal. I think this was needed ASAP. So I'm glad we had the opportunity to do it, and I think my colleagues from nobody objecting to this.
Well, you had a few objections, and you didn't get everyone to vote. I mean, you got Speaker Frank August here. to vote in favor of maintaining the 5% BPT for $10 million. But I am concerned about what Senator Chandra Matauta and Senator Jesse Lujan had said. I mean, we've had this conversation saying that it's discriminatory. John Chambers said this. The Office of the Governor has said it. But then also, just 2 days ago, Acting Governor Josh Tenorio said he's in favor of hoping that somewhere down the line, the budget bill, somebody would implement an amendment to keep the military contracts at 5% BPT. And you said what you said, that it's the military that pays the BPT, not the contractor.
Exactly. And if the contractor decides to subcontract on some of his work, then there is no taxation for that individual as well.
Yeah.
Double taxation. So, it's just it's a win-win as far as the discriminatory or anything like that. We're not discriminating anything. We do the same thing when we tax like on cigarettes. We tax a higher rate for people who smoke. But we're not saying, okay, only this certain kind of people who smoke or religious kind of people who smoke is taxed that. No, we're not at all. It's a category. It's not a individual type of discriminatory. What's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, I'm still.
No worries. But do you think there's weight to what Senator Jesse Lujan says, that this guarantees litigation to happen?
What he said? Well, we've heard from other people saying that, but truthfully, no. I've put case law. When I first tried to implement this and went on the radio, I even cited case law. And then even on Section 4, I cited different case law. So it's not, and then you have people like John Martinez, who's a contractor on island, long-time contractor on island. He deals in contracts, but also, former GIDO director, coming out saying, no, this is also not discriminatory. And Peter Santos, he's not my fan at all, putting his 2 cents in it. But, I'm really, if it is, though, if anybody is going to go ahead and try to put out some discrimination stuff, and it's saying it's not illegal outright, unless there's no real compelling rationale behind the electric impact and its impact on the protected class or religion or race or gender, then, go for it. You want to go ahead and take into suit, go for it. I'm pretty sure the government is standing by ready to take on anything like that, since we have given the Organic Act of Law to govern ourselves on taxation. We are not discriminative.
Right. You share that a tax classification law has never been found unconstitutional.
Right.
And then Senator Therese Chalabi also was mentioned about when they were doing the study, right? The DOD military buildup study, pre-2010. And they said these are all of the adverse impacts that it would have on the island. But one of the positive impacts are all the taxes that we would gain from all of the military buildup. And that's kind of what Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio was saying, is like, and you've been advocating hard since you were mentioning that you wanted to put out this amendment to Bill 11, because you had already said that you wanted to introduce an amendment to Bill 11, which now is included in the Section 2 budget bill, as to why it's so important to tax these military contracts now, because they're temporary. Once it's gone, it's gone.
Right, and we have to remember do business on this island is it's a privilege that is allowed to. And you're absolutely right. I think it was priceless what Senator Therese Chalabi brought up, because even 2 other attempts trying to bring it up in the discussion, even before that, it was last night's reality check for everybody to remind everybody about this military buildup that's been going on for almost 2 decades. and the problems that we foresaw, and actually it's happening, on the island from the military buildup, and what kind of mitigation process that they are going to give the island. And it's not a whole lot that they're going to mitigate on these issues. So the taxing was one way that we thought, okay, well, it's like a war claim. Federal government is not going to pay our war survivors after how many decades and decades not addressing that. Got to the point, well, the government did it themselves.
Right.
They decided to do it. And if we get in a situation like that again, then we need to be prepared to do this type of mitigation. And we can do it unless there's, this tax, that we would be using this taxation in that one particular area that's causing the issue. So I think it was right on the nose last night to remind everybody about this military buildup. And there's going to be what? It's estimated over $10 billion from the time it started, additional funding coming in, but it's not going to last forever. And we're going to lose a lot of revenue. We've already lost, contact impact funds that we're talking on impacts from, those coming in. And now, from other islands. And now here we are anticipating to lose some money in Section 30 because we're hearing that the military is deciding to have these individuals come to Guam and on a rotating basis, meaning in and out in 6 months. And when you do that, then we do not avail ourselves of the tax of that individual. So now we've got 13,000 anticipated to come in, and we use the revenue for that. Or even those who are here, the Marines that are coming to Guam, we hope to pay their taxes as well instead of not.
Right. No, I saw you introduce this amendment 3 times, right? And every time it just seemed, honestly, when I thought third time's a charm, I was actually waiting for this amendment because you were so close the last time, but Vice Speaker Tony Ada ruled it out of order, and so you tried to go against that order, that judgment, but you missed it by 1.
Yeah, and I did seek legal advice on it. I looked at it. This was the perfect place for it. It was not an appropriation. It was in an area that deals with taxation when we went to that section. But, everything it is what it is. You move on and you find another avenue. But, the win is not giving up. That's the win. So you got to keep trying. Because once you stop trying, then you lost. So I wasn't about to give up. I truly believe in this, and I'm just so worried about our future right now with all the issues that are coming up, really, and the lack and the funding that is no longer there. I mean, all this excess revenue did not come from, our local businesses. This excess revenue that came that we enjoyed for the last, 2-3 years came from federal money that was poured into the island for compact impact and for other reasons. And now that money has dried up. Now we're not only seeing the drying up of this money, you can see it in the TRAR report, which is tracking 65% lower than last year. So that's number one. When we're starting to see, cuts, federal cuts on critical areas that help our agencies, some agencies, everything from public health to EPA, that are being cut. Now, how are we going to, we're going to have to subsidize some of those things. So not only is it drying up, in every way you look, but to not get this taxation for this military buildup on top of that, there was no way I was going to give up on that. No way. I had to keep going. Even someone said, well, if they're not being taxed, the contractor is not being taxed on any military contract, then why 10 million? Why don't you just say all the military contracts? Because they're not having to pay. The contractor's not having to pay the tax.
Right.
It's still DOD,
right.
which makes sense. But I was having so much pushback by, especially the Chamber of Commerce. I still don't understand what their logic is. The business, Tom Cruise, that owns a construction company, a local construction company on this island, gets a contract from the military, regardless of what price it is. The military incorporates, the DOD incorporates the 5% and pays for it. Tom Cruise doesn't have to pay for it.
And I think that's where your argument came right from the get-go, right? Because you were always in favor of the rollback, but here's the compromise to roll back the BPT, but not for the contract, military contract. Because they're not paying the BPT.
Yeah, and when Chamber of Commerce, was speaking on the radio, and then you had this happy council started citing case laws, Washington, I think it was Washington versus Washington, and I called up and I said, Pat, I looked up Washington versus Washington. Granted, there was a case on taxes that were only on particular individuals, and yet that actually passed the lower court. They won their case against the government. But then when they repealed it in the higher court said no, because it's a taxation that's already allowable and given to certain people doing certain kind of businesses. It's not an individual or discriminatory. So, I wrote about this and continue reading, about this case, and you'll find out the higher court ruled that there was no discriminatory in play here. So, and then I cited her some more to look up this case law. And I guess it was just so, maybe they kind of held bent on, not having anything and pushing forward. But you don't do it. You don't literally just throw the baby out with the bathwater scenario. There are options that we can still keep and maneuver for the best interest of the island.
I appreciate that a lot of the issues weren't always partisan. There was a lot of bipartisan work. And I've been noticing that with you for quite some time now. But what somebody that you're working with on one amendment is your opponent on another. And so that's Senator Will Parkinson that wanted to delete Sections 35 and 41. And a lot of what we've heard from Senator Will Parkinson has been put out there on the air this morning, too. And so I wanted to give you the opportunity this afternoon to kind of respond to, you responded to Senator Will Parkinson anyways last night, but the importance of... Well, he even, there's a letter that's out there, right? From attorneys that are saying that this is inorganic. Yeah.
And it was already in the bill itself, the budget bill was regarding the Attorney General. And when the letter came in, it came in really just last night or yesterday. It just came in. So it's okay, why all of a sudden we're getting this in the budget, we've been delivering this budget for 9 days, day and night. And now they're all of a sudden in the bewitching hour, they're calling upon us to delete this section. It doesn't make sense. Why didn't they all, get together way before this and call upon it? I think it's fueled too, by certain people who just don't like the Attorney General. And I think he's put into place to protect us, protect the community, and put the bad guys away, and that's his responsibility. And the way he does it, well, not a lot of people have his, preference to meet it, but there are a lot of people who do. A lot of people who do appreciate the work he's doing. It kind of reminds me of the whole Trump scenario, Trump, his attitude. A lot of people don't like his attitude, but there are people who appreciate his bluntness and straight to the point, and those political mumbo jumbo that you hear all the time. interested in, like, was on the radio with someone the other day trying to talk about CPT, and I asked a simple question, it's either yes or no. But they don't want to answer it because they already knew they were wrong, and they kept giving the political numbers down and just get straight to the point. And I think that's what Doug does, bedside manner, there's some great doctors don't even have great bedside manners, but they're great doctors, and you would want them to operate on you knowing they're going to do, a really good job. So it's personality, that people don't like, and they tend to, say, okay, they're a bad person because of their personality. Not everybody's perfect, and not everybody can act the way you want them to act. I've learned that. Some people, the way they maneuver, I just learned to say, okay, don't, just do your thing, try to come to a compromise, and then I can walk away.
Well, you were...
do with you anymore. But anyway, Parkinson mentioned one of the things about my case.
Right.
Now, so when I first went with my case, of course, I hired private attorneys to cover me because they sued me as a senator for not his FOIA, which, by the way, he got already, the FOIA request of the information he wanted. Not only through me, but through 3 other people. The same information, he had that already. But I think Fisher was just trying to go after me too. It's a personal thing. I don't know why. But, so I had my attorney went through the whole case and found out that they called it moot. You remember that? They moved. It was moot because she received the information. But then she said that I was an agency. She called me an agency as an individual. And everyone just like, what? That means every single senator is an agency in the government of Guam. That would mean judges, elected officials are all agencies. Well, if you're an agency in the government of Guam, then the Attorney General can represent you. Because in the meantime, the money that's paying for this whole lawsuit is coming from the legislature. It's government money. It's tax money because he's suing me as a senator. So when the judge claimed that I was an agency, okay, well, that's it. I'm an agency. Now we have to go back and ask for a repeal on her decision that I'm an agency. And if I'm an agency, that entitles me to use the Attorney General. Just like any other senator sitting down, if somebody comes and sues a senator right now, they can use the Attorney General because according to case law, that person is an agency. Okay. So I'm using the Attorney General because I'm supposed to be an agency.
I also never heard your argument until last night when you were talking about that the AG still has legislative oversight, right? And so even with some of the concerns, the legislature still appropriates his funding anyway.
Yes. We appropriate it. He presents to us a budget bill.
Right.
Individually. It's not under the governor's office. He comes in front of us and presents. And for, what is it, we've had, I believe, we've had an informational hearing from the Attorney General. As soon as I got in, it wasn't too long after that, maybe a couple months or 2 or 3 months came in, I had an informational hearing on the Attorney General on what was going on, findings of everything that he's working on, and had the opportunity for people to, other senators come in for questioning the Attorney General. So he said, well, we need an oversight. And I said, well, I did have an informational briefing. I brought him to the table for all the senators to ask questions. So that was done. What else do you want me to do? He came in and talked about all these accusations that Senator Parkinson was mentioning about the Attorney General. And he came in and answered it. All the senators, even had a real thick binder of the findings on everything. So what more does Senator Parkinson want me to do? Fire him? He had a public hearing. I had a public hearing on Senator Parkinson's bill, that he introduced to have the AG no longer elected by the people, but now appointed by the governor. I had that public hearing. I heard that. And we had people coming up, almost the same people that were on that list last night, coming in and saying, yeah, you need to get him out, you need to get him out. And then the next thing you know, everybody's talking about having an elected prosecutor. And then, so if you have elected prosecutor, elected attorney general, you have an elected prosecutor. So it came in all confused. And then one of the attorneys said, we'll get a survey done by attorneys on how we should move forward. And it was like 1/4 of the attorney population that went on the survey. And why only attorneys? It's the people involved that decide who the attorney general will be. And I think it should stay an elected position, because what happens is the government is bearing, they're doing some punishment that are going on. And he needs to prosecute them too, bring them to court, anyone's doing any corruption in the government. And that's one of their areas that they have, the white collar crime section of the Attorney General, to look into corruption.
Yeah, I think while you're at it, you could also introduce the bill to bring in an elected chief of police then, or sheriff.
A sheriff? Yes, no. Sheriff? Oh, I don't know about sheriff. But no, I think that, I don't know what to say about that. I never thought of that, but it definitely.
Because we have, in some jurisdictions there are elected sheriffs, right? Now that I'm thinking, if you're going to separate the responsibilities, how about you throw in elected sheriff too, or elected chief of police? But is there anything else that you wanted to share? I know it was a long day, right? And so.
Oh, long week.
Yeah.
Long 10 days. Very long 10 days. I'm happy with the outcome with regards to the DPP.
There's one more that I wanted to ask you. So sorry. You tried to amend the transfer authority, and that failed. Of the governor. 50% you're trying to. At the tail end,
Responsibility on that. That was like, really? 50% transfer authority? Oh my God. What's ironic is that we should never give that authority to her. She has 15%. She has not even utilized that 15%. If you look at how much throughout the last 3 years, how much funding did she use on transfer authority to cover, certain areas? But here's the thing: your transfer authority is only as good as if you have money available. And this money only comes in, it's processed on increments, monthly increments. It's not like, the governor has, 50% of the budget that we just passed. No, that's not the case. It's our job, our core responsibility to ensure that the people's money that was raised, that we also spend it correctly in areas of priority. It's a balance. It's accountable. And we can't take that responsibility and pass it off to the governor, to give that 50%. I decided to, of course, historically it's been 16% throughout the years. And I decided, okay, let's do a compromise. Let's go to 25%. But 50% transfer authority is, no. When things start falling apart, regardless, think about this, when things have fallen apart in the past, the governor comes to us and asks him, look, I need an appropriation. I need this amount of money to transfer to this agency because it's an emergency. I mean, she has a certain amount of emergency transfer authority anyway. But the funding, she still has to come to the legislature to get approval for an appropriation. for a huge amount. I mean, look at the fire that happened at the hospital. Everyone thinks like, okay, she's got all this money, you need to go and fix this. But does she, have all this funding? Even the past, these excess revenue and gave the hospital like $20 million. She couldn't touch that. She has no transfer authority on excess revenue. So I didn't understand that section of it. So I thought during the budget bill that we made, appropriations of already excess revenue from 2026 that we haven't even started the year 2026, which to me it still turns my stomach to spend money we don't have. It's bad enough that we're using excess revenue for 25. The CRER came out saying it's $35 million now for July versus June was only $30. And wanting to spend that to the very last dime because this is all unaudited money that has not even been audited because there are other expenses that need to be paid from past appropriations. So we pretty much, zeroed that out for the month of July. It's just for August and September. We'll yield us a little more excess revenue, and that would be kept there in the event when you do audit, we find out there are higher obligations that will need to be paid. You definitely don't want to be in a deficit, Pauly, and that's just one thing I'm keeping an eye on is that deficit. Like I said, we already used a 26 excess revenue that we will need to see.
Well, thanks so much, Senator. I appreciate it. 10 a.m. tomorrow. I imagine it'll take, an hour?
Probably, about an hour. Especially if we're going to close the session out, it gives the opportunity for people to do their, have a comment at the end, brief remarks at the end of the session. Yeah. And I think you're going to see a little bit more energy.
Okay, for sure.
I am so apologize. I am still half asleep right now, trying to catch up with some sleep, but I might be rambling around, so I do apologize.
No, well, thank you.
I'm not always like this, about Pauly, so, but I wanted to make sure I hopped on right away and explain the vehicle transfer. Yeah. Because that one was really concerning, and I want everyone out there to know and listen to, again, please, tell your friends and family who's ever buying a vehicle or someone's talking about it that once this budget bill passes, it shouldn't be too much longer, that they do not need a notary in order to transfer your name to the new title once you purchase a vehicle. So if you buy a vehicle from, Joe Cruz, you have at least 6 months to transfer it into your name with the registration, get the registration name within 6 months from purchasing it from him, and you don't need a notary. You just need to go to Reverend Tax and say, write down that I purchased this vehicle for $10 or, or no amount of money that it was given to you so that you can change the ownership or this vehicle is inherited to me so that you don't have to pay that 2.5% higher than what you paid for. And that was a whole nemesis of this thing. People being overtaxed from a Kelly Blue Book versus what they truly bought it for. So please, I wanted to get out there right away. And thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
So sending that to the people, and hopefully they can spread that word and someone can get on social media and say, the budget bill has that amendment, so be prepared.
Thanks, Senator. I appreciate the time. We'll be watching tomorrow.
Okay. Call me anytime, and I should be more rested next time.
All right, we're going to create a great day, regardless.
Create a great day, people. Okay, make it happen. Okay.
4:52 in the afternoon, Wave 105. We'll take our break, and we'll be right back.
CBS News Brief. The National Weather Service issued flash flood warnings as far north as New York's Westchester County and southern Connecticut as Hurricane Aaron lashes the East Coast. South Carolina coastal areas are currently enduring tropical storm conditions, and residents have observed worries about people near the water.
I was worried and concerned. It's a little rough, and there's warnings everywhere to stay under the water.
The Menendez brothers, in prison for killing their store before parole boards the next 2 days. One on the left with Professor Lori Levinson.
The parole board will look at their conduct in prison, and they've had good conduct in prison, but they've also had violations, like having a cell phone, not following the order of the guards. And the parole board gets to decide whether to recommend that they be paroled.
In Texas,
39 to 52 days, House Bill 4 is finally passed.
that's the bill creating maps designed to outfire Republican seats to Congress. CBS News Brief. I'm Michael Toscano.
And now it's time for your headline info by McDonald's Guam. Join our Grow and Build Your Career with us. McDonald's is hiring. Visit the hiring fair on Saturday, August 23rd, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. upstairs at McDonald's Harmon, Guam. And now here it is, our very own Skylar Briscoe with home news.
Here's the latest in American statistics. Employees were confiscated from a student at Wuhan Elementary School yesterday morning, according to the Guam Department of Education. According to a release statement, 2 students reported to the class academic office that one of their classmates had the contraband. Shortly after, the district staff escorted the student to the office where there had been evidence to possess a baby gun. The gun was not loaded, he said, and the student's parents/guardians were notified and were expected to relocate to the Guam Police Department Central Precinct to continue the investigation. In more news, according to South Korean media outlets, the country's Navy will take part in a U.S.-led multinational exercise for the Pacific Vanguard of the coast of Guam on October 23rd. The U.S. and South Korea, alongside Australia and Japan, will be conducting anti-submarine and defense operations. Last year, the exercise involved about 1,500 personnel today. The Pacific Vanguard was first formed in 2019 according to journal files. The Pacific Vanguard comes off the heels of Reform 2025, the Pacific Air Force's defense global exercise that occurred throughout July. Reporting from Maryland Business Journal, the Regional 5 and 2008, and Charlie Wisdom.
Hafa Adai, we're 105 FM. We want to talk. We want to talk about the things that are important about our island and our community, and we want to talk with you. If you want to share conversation, if you're going to sign in, we welcome it. We welcome all sorts of you on Fox, our perspective, and also WhatsApp number 671-922-1051. The sample of the season, please contact at 922-1052. This is Talk for Everyone. Thanks for listening to 105FM.com.
Close your doors, lock your windows, turn off your lights, and come with me into the Weird Darkness. I'm Darren Lola, the host of Weird Darkness, every Thursday night from 6 to 8, here on Room 105.1. Every week on Weird Darkness, you'll hear 2 hours of stories of the paranormal, supernatural, legends, lore, crime, conspiracy, mysterious, macabre, unsolved, and unexplained. Weird Darkness, this Thursday night at 6 on Room 105.1.
It's the Guam Auto Spot Overstock Sell-Off, and our manager is absolutely crazy for dropping these deals. Right now, drive off in a brand new 2025 Quick Flash at just $24.99. That's 2 grand off the original price. Plus, check out our high-quality tailored items, fully inspected and ready for the house. Book your food tomorrow at GuamAutoSpot.com or call 478 Auto to schedule your test drive. It's the Guam Auto Spot Overstock Sell-Off, and everything must go.
right, almost time for your real deal trusted report brought to you by Guam Stop. Schedule a test drive today at Guam Spot by calling 478 Auto or view our inventory on our website at guamspot.com. Guam Spot 478 Auto. And now here it is taking a look at traffic. I have for you, if you're going through the Garden, which is the one right in front of National Guard, there'll be slow traffic there going up toward Bermuda Heights, going into a cruiser as well, and now transitioning into the Woody area. We're looking at right near McDonald's, Second Jose as well, going up towards Airport Road as well as August. And now taking a look at the traffic advisory. Construction activity will continue along Route 10 between Route 4 intersection and Father William from August 18, 23, 2025. There will be lane closures between 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday. Motorists should expect delays and day caution. And now here it is, let's get back into the Brightside reporting here on the Wave 105.
News and FX Agenda. The talk of Guam is Wave 105 and 7. CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance. I'm Michael Toscano. The Israeli military says it has begun to take preliminary actions to occupy all of Gaza City and is already controlling areas outside the city. A military spokesman via interpreter.
We will deepen the damage to Hamas in Gaza City, a stronghold of governmental and military terror of the terrorist organization. We will deepen the damage to the terror infrastructure above and below the ground and sever the population's dependence on Hamas.
Up to 60,000 Israeli reservists are being called up for early in September. The Menendez brothers, imprisoned for decades on conviction for killing their parents, will be separately making their cases for release before the California State Parole Board Tuesday and Friday. Correspondent Carter Evans is following the case in Los Angeles.
This is a confusing situation because they're pursuing 3 counts to freedom at the same time. The first is this parole option that they've got right now. The other is clemency from the governor. He can grant them clemency at any time upon the release from prison. The third is the new trial that they're seeking based on new evidence that they say supports their claims of child abuse.
The California Supreme Court will not prevent Democrats from moving forward Thursday with a plan to redraw congressional districts. Republicans there have asked the state's high court to step in and block those efforts. Meanwhile, new congressional maps designed to add 5 Republican seats to the House and one step closer to becoming law in Texas. Chris Fox reports from Austin. Racial gerrymandering is how the House Democrats describe State Rep Tom Hunter's bill. We are allowed to draw congressional districts on the basis of political performance. Democratic State Rep Trey Martinez-Fisher with a message for his Republican colleagues. You may win today, we will have our opportunity in federal court. You know it is wrong. The bill's now headed to the Texas Senate. It's a long night's journey of tropical storm winds and rain into morning for coastal North Carolina, where CBS News meteorologist David Parkinson says the worst for Aaron may still be here.
It'll be less than 200 miles from the Outer Banks, and the tropical storm force wind field extends well beyond 200 miles. In some places, it's actually above 250 miles. So we are going to be seeing the strongest wind gusts of this entire storm system hitting land today in the Carolinas.
Sony says it's bumping up at the price of PlayStation 5 video game consoles by $50.
Companies say have seen a challenging economic environment. After initially being planning on a 25% hike, Japan negotiated a 15% tariff with the Trump administration, and now Japan's Sony is passing the extra cost on the consumers.
That's not Matt Piper, and he's saying CBS News.
It's auto insurance, plus a variety of business insurance options. Visit Progressive.com today. Hey, it's Mike Lowe. If I had a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guy. And I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is no contracts, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Switch today, save 50% off the first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
The multi-day air guitar world championships is underway in Finland.
The best air shredders from around the globe compete for the title. Contestants wear wild costumes while rocking out with their imaginary guitars. They get judged on their technical merit, stage presence, and airmen. Last year's winner, Ontario. Warren Jackson Nickelback's photograph to win the grand prize, a custom-made flying fin guitar. Stacey Ryan, CBS News.
North Carolina's latest 2026 schedule featuring a new street course in San Diego and the return of Chicagoland Speedway, the All-Star races from Dover, Delaware, and the season will conclude at Homestead Miami Speedway. The schedule includes 2 off weekends and runs from February to November and kicks off at the Classic Bowling Green Stadium February 1st, followed by the Daytona 500 February 15th. Michael Costello, CBS News.
Hafa Adai, you are tuned into Wave 105 FM on Brightside with Pauly Suba every weekday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. You can listen to us online on our website, thewave105.com, or watch us live on YouTube, Wave 105. Wow. If you want to join the conversation, please call us at 671-922-1051 or 922-1052. You can send us a comment on WhatsApp at 671-922-1051. 671-922-1051. And the bright side is proudly sponsored by Chili's. Chili's Grill and Bar at Chili's. More love, great food, and memories happy new year. Full School of Guam. Learn, code, and meet the Island First Coding Bootcamp. Your future in tech begins with us at Code School of Guam. GCA, we start with you. Micropack. Open at our community and mall location. Make sure to follow our Instagram at Micropack671 and Micropack Inc. on Facebook for exciting deals and promotions. And also brought to you by Cincinnati Security Solutions, Guam premier provider of professional security service. Also brought to you by Sherwin-Williams. The work season is on the way, and your roof needs to be ready. Don't wait for the blazing sun or the pounding rain. Get ahead with your weather-ready coating. Be smart, be prepared, and ask for Sherwin-Williams. And also brought to you by Subway. Eat fresh. In just a few clicks, order online at subwaypacific.com for pickup at your convenience or for delivery right at your doorstep. Online ordering at SubwayPacific.com is powered by Book to Go. We deliver. At Subway, you gotta refresh to be fresh. And now here it is. It's time for your Creative Report, which is brought to you by Guam on Schedule. We first start today at Guam Auto Spot by calling 478 Auto. Or view our inventory on our website at guamautospot.com. Guam Auto Spot 478 Auto. And now here it is, taking a look at the traffic I have for you. Heavy flow. Guam National Guard coming from there going upward towards Brightside August with a closure of one lane as well. So be prepared for delays and relaxation listening to your news here on Brightside. Coming up next is our very own Pauly Suba. The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show host, Justin McCullough. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Vintage Media, or any of our partners. I prefer to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content and welcome you to participate in our conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to Brightside here on Wave 105, 5:10 in the afternoon. My name is Pauly Suba. Viva Weather, it's Thursday, August 21st. We're online at wave105.com. You still got a laptop open, yeah, check us out there, or on our YouTube channel, Wave 105.1 FM Guam. Otherwise, you jumped in your car, headed home, I hope. If not, at least you're headed somewhere, right? And hopefully you love your job. 671-922-1051. We should be getting the Congressman Jim Moylan on. I wanted to learn more. I know our audience would really appreciate more information on the Military Academy nominations. I see that they are open. I saw a statement or the flyer from Congressman Jim Moylan's office about these Military Academy nominations that are open. And then there's also a community outreach event that's happening soon at the Micronesia Mall. And so I wanted to give him the opportunity to share with us what that's all about. I know that it's a way to assist veterans, U.S. Armed Services veterans, right, over at the community outreach at the Micronesia Mall. And so I think we've got him. Yeah, we'll put him on the line now. Hafa Adai, Congressman, you're on the air.
Hey, terrific. What better time to be on the bright side during a rainy day?
And even though it's not bright outside, it is inside, right?
Inside, that's right.
Absolutely. So, Congressman Jim Moylan, I wanted to see if we can start with you letting us know about the Military Academy nominations. I see they're open, and so how does that all work? And so what do? You look at them like, I like this person, they should go.
They meet some qualifications. Well, they have to meet some minimum qualifications to meet it into the academy.
Okay.
I review their path, and then I say, you did outstanding. Already they meet the minimum requirements, and I'm just there pretty much to interview them, make sure they got the guts going and ready to do it and represent the island and all, and serve our nation, and then I give a cover letter, and that helps their path and kind of move forward versus those that don't have that opportunity. And this will be our third year to do this, and for the past couple of years we have 50 applicants. So
wow, it's competitive then.
Well, yeah, and what's pretty clear is that people want to serve our nation. And interesting on the different folks that would come in and decide why they decide or how they decided to apply for the academy. And some is because of the legacy, right? My grandfather, my uncle, my mom, family situations. And some is because, I really want to help my family out. I know this is a good opportunity. I can go to school and I can take care of my family as well. So different things, different reasons, but it's nice. And, when they come into my office, they're dressed to the Sunday best, or if they're in the ROTC program, they come in the uniform, and some even come in coat and tie, and very neat to me, as if I was a general, right? Present themselves in a professional manner, just like they would if they were being interviewed for the academy, and then asking for my support. But there's a lot of things they have to prepare for before coming to the member of Congress, and every state or territory does this, has the opportunity to do this for their constituents. And they put together their packet. They got the photo in there, the high school transcript that should be pretty up to par and way up there on the academics. And they're looking at the ACT score, the SAT scores, and resumes. And what have you done in the community? And how are you involved in the community and supporting folks? There's also an essay that they have to say for 500 words or less of why you want to attend the service academy. And a minimum of 3 letters of recommendation. And so one of them being mine as well. So that helps them. We really want to support that. As a member of the Armed Services Committee, our listening has gone up, but we need great leaders. We need the officers to help them. And if they're grown, especially, I was one myself in the Army. It really helps. Whether you want to be in the Army, West Point Academy, or Navy Academy, or Air Force Academy, Merchant Marine Academy, or even the Coast Guard, we can provide recommendations for them. And what we usually do is we let them know, if you have your first choice, that counts, but also put a second and third. Maybe your first choice didn't work out with the academies, but your second and third could. And there have been situations when they do that. So we did open that up. We're starting a school outreach next week. We usually hit the schools with all the ROTC programs, but at the same time, you don't have to be an ROTC during the academies either. So we try to get the word out to all the schools. And we have the application deadline is up to October 30th.
This is the fun part of the job, right?
Yeah. So I can recommend them. I'm happy to do that. And then they come back later. They come back after certain trainings. And, this was going on my fourth year, and we should be seeing some graduates pretty soon, too. So every year we've been submitting about 20-some to get on in. Right, and if they don't make it the first time, there's also a preparatory school they can go to as well to prepare them for the next application. And some have done that, and then they get accepted too. So it's really a great opportunity. These guys are really in shape. They can do more push-ups and sit-ups than I can, that's for sure now. And they're smart kids and physically fit to protect our nation. It's really a problem to have them do that. The parents also may come in as well. I meet the parents outside, and they're thankful to update me on how is it all going. And they're just excited for their child. So happy to do that. That's a good part of the job.
I'm not familiar, but are we guaranteed so many Guam? Like you choose, you are the one who chooses representatives from this district or Guam. And so whoever you choose is guaranteed to go to this, or is there another level where it's not guaranteed that we'll get somebody that goes to West Point from Guam every year?
We're just recommending it to the academy to decide.
Okay.
We nominate, and the Academy makes the final decision based on their criteria.
Okay.
It does help that our nomination does help. That says the member is proud of them and looks to see them move forward. Of course, they make all those requirements. We do have a certain amount of slots available for each territory and state.
Okay.
But overall, it's still up to the Academy to open up different things that they want based on what's happening in the world.
Got it. Well, that means your letter of recommendation means a lot too, then.
Yes.
Because you're gonna help the Academy decide if this candidate is good or not. They'll read your letter too.
Yes. Yeah. We're looking for the bright ones, and I'm so impressed with these folks when they come before me. And of course, they're nervous too, but this is what I'm seeing when they do ask me these questions, by the way. What are you looking for when we come in the door? What should we do to take you? Do what you do when you approach generally in the military, or the officer in the military. When you come into the office, what do? You stand at attention. You state your name and stuff, and you have a seat, and then you got to relax. You got to tell the story. You got to be yourself. You have to look the person in the eye. You have to be confident in your conversation. You have to show that you really want to do this, and you're passionate about it. And just come across that way. That's what they're looking for, because that's what a leader is about. If you want to become an officer, you're leading the pack. So that's what I'm impressed about, and I'm seeing that with these folks. Their confidence level, their education level. Some of them even have pilot license already. Some don't even have a driver's license or a car, but they got pilot license. That's terrific.
Absolutely, yeah. I've been seeing that on Instagram. These high school students getting their pilot licenses here in Guam. It's very cool.
Yeah. Excellent, right? Graduating the top of their class. I think that's everyone within maybe JFK, if I'm correct there, in the Air Force junior ROTC too. But what a bright future, right? It's terrific that they have that motivation and hanging around the right crowd and just promoting themselves to a better way of life and wanting to serve our nation and the island of Guam especially.
Charlie says, Charlie Hermosa is watching. He says, can you ask the congressman if he can support for the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Merchant Marines as well, and that's the fine thing. My father was a Merchant Marine too. So it's the Merchant Marines and the Coast Guard. Merchant Marines, of course, are supply ships. Go out to sea, and what I understand, everything's taken care of for you. You're like on that ship. You drop off your supplies, you come back to port, and you have a great time off. I think
Charlie's saying that he'd be more than happy to write letter of recommendations too, to join the U.S. Merchant Marines, so you guys can just connect and see how that all can work out.
That's a great idea. Yeah, thanks, Charlie.
He's also asking if you missed the circus down at the legislature.
I didn't watch it live, but I'm sure I can get it on YouTube.
Yeah, there you go. So what's going on at the Micronesia Mall? You have a outreach going on at the mall soon?
Yes, I do. That's going to be August 29th.
Okay.
Next week, Friday, and that's 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. So that's Friday and Saturday at the Micronesia Mall.
Okay.
We'll be at the former JP Superstore location on the first floor. I believe that's on the Ross section down there.
I remember now.
So what we titled it, Bridging DC and District. It's a community outreach. And we've invited many of the federal programs based on the questions that we received in district. So we have Honolulu. Our benefits section is coming on out, and VA Health is coming on out. These are staff from Honolulu coming to Guam to help our veterans. And that's the majority of questions and assistance we provide at our district office based on veterans coming on in saying, I need help, I'm not getting my benefits. How do I file this claim? They deny me my claim. What do I do next? So they're actually Honolulu's benefit is coming on out to help us. We also have having the Guam Vet Center come, and also our CBOC, which is the new naval hospital, they're coming too. We have our Social Security office coming also, and U.S. Immigration is coming too. There's a lot of passport issues that we have with our customers calling on in. And then also the Department of Labor looking at helping veterans actually with different job opportunities, inputting them into the system, showing what advantages, whether it be classes or jobs that they could qualify for to help them out. So we're bridging the federal agencies to include Guam Department of Labor. We're bridging the federal side with the passports, with immigration, passports especially, and we have some sad situations with passports here in our office, medical situations, most especially, trying to expedite that. And we really encourage, even if you don't plan to go to the States or Asia side or the Philippines or anything like that, you don't think you need a passport, you really probably do, especially if there's a medical situation and you need to get off island. If it's not for you, but you need to accompany somebody in the family, that's important to have. Philippines being the closest place for emergency, and you can't get there, but it's important you get there by the 2 days. And that passport is absolutely necessary. So I encourage folks to come on down, see what they can do with the passport, U.S. Immigration as well. Social Security Office and Guam Veterans Office, the CBOC will be there. And VA, Honolulu benefits, and VA Health will be there too. So 2 days on Friday, the 29th, and on Saturday, the 30th, from 11 o'clock to 3 p.m. at Macronation Mall. We'll be in that hall where Ross is at, the old JP Super.
So it's wraparound services then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you can speak with VA reps, you can do instant phones, you can get connected to your benefits, you can ask questions, get support for Social Security, explore other federal programs. So it's an overall wraparound, we call it a bridging, Washington, D.C. and Guam, for that one-stop shop.
You have to be a veteran.
Some ice cream and watch a movie later.
You have to be a veteran to apply for a passport? And
no, not at all. This is open to the public.
Okay.
Social Security is there for the public. U.S. Immigration is there for the public. Passport office is there for the public. If you're a veteran, we got all these additional benefits for you as well.
Got it. And you can also reapply for if you have a passport already, or is this only for new applications?
Okay, so this is an information process. They can't actually accept your paperwork there.
Okay.
Because that will require something through Department of Revenue and Taxation on Guam.
Okay.
So that part is not there, but it's the information that's important on how to go through this process.
Okay, because there I was ready to get my picture taken and everything. I'm just going to take my photo. All right, so are you going to be there too, or people? Yeah, because the town hall meeting was great, and not everybody had the opportunity to go to Salapago Order, and I'm sure this would be a good opportunity as well to share their concerns with you if you're there.
Yes, I'll be there throughout the day, and then last night I had with Jamal Village also, just talking in between the songs and cha-cha dance and of course, talking to a whole bunch of people on different topics. It's important that I get to hear directly, and while I'm here, this is a good way to do it. I'm sure I'll get over to the other malls and down. Boy, you can meet a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll be really interested to hear what I can do to further support their minds as well. I'm here to serve.
Very cool. I'm also glad to see, because PARS put out a release that you had a conversation with them, that you met with Robert Celestial, the president of Pacific Association of Radiation Survivors, right? So,
we met with them last month and this month as well. And then when I'm not available, we're planning for future Zoom conferences too on updates. So So that was really unfortunate that we were not included in the RICA benefits this time through the House. We got close in the Senate, but it didn't work out. But still, it's moving forward. So we have a measure that's there, that can apply, that we can amend to include Guam. And I'm sure there's a couple of other states, Colorado and another state that weren't included with everything too that they needed. So it's a start. It's been a long time coming. And we want to expedite this because those that are affected by it are dealing with the situations that are health-wise. And we've got too much time to live, right? So we want to make sure that we can get the benefits that they so deserve. The scientific history is there. The medical history is there. There were 64 nuclear bombs that were blown out, right, exploded, where we know we got the dirt from that. So there's no reason that we can't have this. So we got our voice is strong and working closely with the organization PARS and as well to make sure this happens. So that's our priority. We're going to fight like heck to get it done and just keep on fighting it until it gets done. So they were very helpful at keeping us updated, and they're working their way through their different networks and different members of Congress, and we can work together to say, look, we can be a great golden dome and support block our aggressors from coming in further to the west and stop it in Guam versus getting to Hawaii like World War II once again. So stop it from here, but give the people of Guam what they deserve. The residents of Guam that have been long-term health issues because of DDT, because of all the other chemicals that have been used in the island and the atomic fallout of Guam. We need to be taken care of, and evidence is there to say so, and we're going to do our job to make sure it happens.
They're asking you to contact Congresswoman Stefanik? Stephanie? Yeah, and so what are your thoughts on that? Can you, or will you be communicating with her and setting up a Zoom meeting?
Yeah, so to me, she was part of the leadership of the Republican Party, a good friend of mine as well.
Even better,
so we have a good relationship, and that's we meet all the time. I'll probably see her on September 2nd. So she was, of course, she was nominated by the president to be one of the ambassadors, which didn't pan out, and now she's back in Congress, and then eventually running for governor in New York, one of the governor, I believe it's New York. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's New York. For that. But in the meantime, she's a congresswoman who's a good friend of mine, and was very supportive of me continuing on into the 119th Congress. So I like her. We're getting along well. We could have great conversations, and I'm sure she'll be supportive of Guam to get into the RICA.
Right. We're all praying.
Amen.
Right? Yeah.
We got to look at the bright side there.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you're not going to be with us on Labor Day? You're leaving me? Okay.
I am. Okay. I'm going to go back to Washington, D.C. with a full task. I will be in here on Labor Day. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the biggest party in Guam, I think. I mean, it's the parade route, but then, I don't think you have a bigger picnic than the Labor Day picnic.
That's right. I won't wash my clothes. What is that aroma? That's barbecue chicken and berries.
Okay. Congressman Goodwin, I appreciate the opportunity. Is there anything else that you wanted to share? I might have missed some things.
No, that's pretty cool, and I'm really happy that I can meet as many people as I can when I come on home. It's really uplifting to get the energized back here, so I can take that momentum and just slingshot it into D.C. and really support our community. We continue with more Zoom conferences. If you need to reach me, of course, just call the district office here, especially our district office. I'll give you that. It's 671-922-6673, whether it be for the nominations, military academy, or wanting more information about Bridging DC and District event in Micronesia Mall next week on Friday and Saturday. Please call our office, but I can always make myself as available as possible. If I'm not back home in town, my staff here is more than happy to service. And I also welcome those visitors that wanted to come on out to DC. We can give you a terrific tour. You want to meet Elise Stefanik or Mike Johnson. We can do that too, you know. We can do all that. So I love my island. I love what I do, and I'm honored to serve our island and our nation. So I thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that the same number also for veteran services? I know you have a staff member that assists with veterans benefits too.
Yes. So that's our main line, and then we'll transfer to our veteran service staff. Yeah.
There we go. Okay. Thanks, Congressman. I appreciate it. again.
Okay.
Take care. 5:33 in the afternoon, the Brightside here on Wave 105. Viva Webis will take our break.
CBS Newsweek, the North Carolina coast. Presidential hurricane center describes tropical storm conditions. It's good news for this Thursday. Much of the East Coast remains under threat of deadly rip currents, storm surges, and flash flooding. State House Republicans in Texas gave final passage and to the state Senate to do redrawing congressional maps to mark 5 seats to the U.S. House of Representatives for the party. CBS's Erica Brown says Democrats couldn't stop it.
Democratic lawmakers now back in Texas after seeing the state to block the measure try to further delay the vote with parliamentary questions and amendments.
CBS's Linda Cannon reports Tulsi Gabbard is making big staff cuts to the agency she leads.
Adam Staples, the Director of National Intelligence, said the intelligence community is rife with abuse of power, unauthorized leaks of classified intelligence, and politicized weaponization of intelligence.
CBS News Brief by Michael Fitzgerald. The
It's the Guam August overstock sell-off, and our manager is absolutely crazy for dropping these deals. Right now, drive off in a brand new 2025 Fifth Class for just $24,995. That's $2 off the original price. Plus, check out our high-quality pre-owned vehicles, fully inspected and ready for the road. But you can find them at GuamAutostock.com or call 478 to tell them to drive. It's the Guam August overstock sell-off with everything left to go.
For everyone. This is 105 from
Life-changing retailers offers pool services from complete and pool fees and VIP details. Keep your pool, Artificial offers factories, ceramic, lifestyle, and very-to-food auto systems. For more information, call 617-SMART. We're excited to announce that we're hiring for a variety of positions with some of Guam's most recognized and respected brands, including Coca-Cola, Hormel, Chili's, Whimsical Garden, Subway, Pizza, and Cinnabon. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take the next step in your career or something you're planning, explore current opportunities and apply today at highnow.com. We like to build opportunities just for growth.
All right, now it's time to take a look at your real-time traffic reports brought to you by Guam Auto Spa. Schedule a test drive today at Guam Auto Spa by calling them at 478-AUTO or view our inventory on the website at GuamOutSpot.com. Guam on the Spot 478 outing. And now here it is. Time to take a look at this carpet right now for you. I have to heavy flow, Manila, because it is what? Thursday night market. So there's a heavy flow there in that area, as well as your transitioning into the Tulum area, where McDonald's is at. It is heavy flow going all the way up north into around JFK area, going all the way down into Jettier as well. So be safe, buckle up the sexy seatbelt, and that is your traffic report. Let's get into the traffic advisory for the week. Over for you is constructive activity to continue on Route 10 between Route 4 intersection and Southern Green from August 18 to the 23rd, 2025. There will be a lane closure between 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday. Motorists should step delays and drive with caution. And that is your traffic report by Cleveland Guam School. And now let's get back into the children of Brightside with Pauly Suba. Here it is. Let's get this music started for him. It is the one and only. Are you ready for this music? I got for you.
Wait, 105. That is just making me laugh because I'm like, I feel like I have a DJ in here. Is this how you're going to introduce me every break? I got you a jam right now. I'm going for that, I guess. Get ready because this one's going to hit you hard. 671-922-1051 or 1052. Wave 105. Viva Webis. My name is Pauly Suba. We've got about 20 more minutes left, so if there's anything else that you want to talk about, to be honest with you, I've just been so focused on that budget bill, hours long, every day into the night. Yesterday was the longest. I wasn't expecting them to go all the way till midnight, right? A little bit after midnight. But then I heard Speaker Frank Long Jr. say, we're gonna go past 10. I'm like, okay, I guess it sounds like they just want to get this done. Because to be honest with you, they had today to get through some of that, you know? I mean, nothing's happening at the legislature today, and then they recessed until tomorrow at 10 a.m. And so we'll see how it goes. It'll take about an hour, right? They'll vote, and I mean, the Republicans have the majority. They just need 8. I don't see how they're not going to get 8, at least 8. So we'll see. We got somebody on the line? Yeah, I'll just take it cold.
Oh, okay.
Hafa Adai, wave 105. You're on the air. Nobody. I don't hear anybody. Oh, Hafa Adai. Hey, John! What's up?
What's up, man? Hey, that's your entrance fight song.
What's going on, my friend? Have you been...
Hey, I have a question because I know you were talking in regards to, I guess, Senator Fellow on the line in regards to that, I guess they extended, 6 months or something to that nature, right?
Yeah. So if you,
let's say I'm an avid car collector or someone, or I have a car that's been sitting for more than 6 months, and it has nothing to do with the photos, right?
Yeah.
So would that still, I mean, how does that work?
You're going to sell it?
Yeah, let's say if I have,
Yeah.
let's say a car,
Okay.
and I want to sell it in the long run, for example.
You sell it whatever amount you want.
Okay, though, regardless if it's been unregistered for, let's say, a year or two, for example.
I don't know about you obviously haven't taken it on the road, right? And so if you want it on the road,
it's more of project for reality as these guys with project cars, right? Finally, after so many time and money they put in, they want to get rid of it. I mean, so that's still.
Well, I'm not an expert on any of that stuff. To be honest with you, I would be asking you, John, how does that work? You're the one that collects these vehicles, but from my understanding, just based on the way you would sell it, you decide how much you want to sell it for. That other person decides if they want to buy it from you for that amount. Then you go to DRT and you show them the bill of sale without the notary now. You still have to pay the $25 for that fee, right? And then it's however it's what did she say? I think she said it was there's a percentage of how much you sold it for. So whatever the percentage is of $1, that's how much.
I know what DMV does is, let's say if you don't register it, I don't know if they still do, but I remember
there's a fee, right?
The time is supposed to be registered, and let's say you wait a year or two or three, they're going to question us to, how come it hasn't been registered, yada. Then I think they add on like a certain fee because, the length of time, I don't know if that's still how it goes.
That part I don't know. That part I'd have to go reach out to DRT and get a better
understanding. That
understanding.
before where it was unregistered, the car's been sitting, but finally got it going after 3-4 years, and I was wondering how come they charged me more than the normal, but it's because it wasn't been registered for that X amount of years, So, something maybe you might want to check it out.
Yeah. I imagine there's quite a few people that might be wanting to sell their car now for whatever.
Silverado, they drop that interest, man, that would be a big headache, especially for those that sell it, for example, and before the law, before they change everything, imagine they left off island trying to find them, what I mean?
Right.
How are you going to get them to be at the same place, same time to get it over, right?
Yeah.
All right, man. Okay, I mean, just wanted to clarify that, my friend.
If I talk to her anytime sooner, I'll just reach out to DRT. If I get the answer, I'll get it. I'll give it to you, man.
Oh, yeah, for sure, brother.
Cool.
Hey, I'm glad the rain stopped, my friend.
Yeah, right? I think things are starting to clear up a little, right? The flood advisory is over.
I know. Well, it's still the cuddle weather here.
All right. That's something to look forward to when I get out of here, then. Okay. All right, John. Hey, now what do you know, Mom? I'm talking about my wife. All right, John, okay. Is Tony on the line? Or are the lines clear? Tony? Somebody else on the line? Okay, wait, 105, you're on the air.
Hello?
Hey, is this the mayor?
Yes.
Hafa Adai, Mayor of Inarahan.
Hafa Adai. Hello?
I'm here. Get on the air.
Hey, Pauly, hi. I've been kind of wanting to try to call in. I just wanted to really just kind of call in and express some of my disappointment or,
please.
With our budget, with our mayoral budget. It's just unfortunate that, it appears like we're ending up with status quo with what we had last year. And I thought this year we have presented a very strong argument where I believe we presented a very strong case and detailed and outlined pretty much our plans of what we want to accomplish with this particular year. And like I said in my testimony, we're always consistently called the frontliners, the first responders, or whatever. These are the kind of labeling we get, especially during time of crisis, like COVID, during our war, and any issues around the island. And so we presented our case as to, we wanted to be able to do more, but we need more.
Right.
And it's unfortunate that, we're back to the drawing board with status quo budget and so, but
what
we're going to try to do with whatever we can.
Right. What could you have used? What would you be able to do with that $4 million? Are we talking about the $4 million that Senator Chris Barnett tried to amend?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, I want to give a shout out to him. I did see that attempt, and unfortunately, it did not pass. But that $4 million would have done wonders for us. So, from an administrative standpoint, number one, what we have admitted and agreed upon is that we needed to upgrade our software. So, let me give you a typical operational process right now is we put in our request for example, to purchase an item. We literally physically bring that document up to the council where it gets processed and all. And then, of course, now the time for us to make the determination, hey, how far has that request gone along? We literally have to, always again talk to our warm body to do a follow-up. What we're trying to do is try to purchase a software where we're able to track this all. It becomes paperless. We know where, at what point of the process our request is at. And so therefore we're able to do a very, efficient follow-up with that particular one. And then of course also we wanted to all be uniform in our mayor's verification. So obviously we needed a big database so that we're able to manage all the information that's coming through our office. So right now, every time, for example, a resident of Inalan decides to move, for example, to Deredo, we would physically have to fill out a document saying that this individual was formerly a resident of Inalan and is opted to move to Deredo, so that Deredo now accepts that document and puts it into their own system. But all of this is a lot of paperwork. It's paper heavy, the process. When it can be simplified, we just got to purchase the software, right? And some of these softwares I know is not going to be some cheap approach. It's actually, there's going to be a high-end price, but it's a one-time cost up front that's supposed to build efficiencies in the way we operate. And then the other thing with the $4 million as well is, as we know, we the mayors have really kind of absorbed so many unfunded mandates that we're forced to do, but I don't want to say forced to do. We've accepted to do and we're willing to do it. We just need help. And some of the challenges that we're having is, for example, like in Inalan, if I want to take care of future protrusions, obviously I'm going to need a site cutter. When it comes time to flooding, we're going to need a backhoe. So at this point, we don't have those type of equipment to make us be very responsive on the spot. We absorb into a process where we have to engage with DPW and other entities to try to get what we need done for our community. Having those equipment readily available on a rotational basis among the mayors makes us become more efficient, more productive, and very effective. And unfortunately, these are the kind of setbacks that we're having. So, for example, there's a pending storm arriving here. We were able to deploy these equipment and help out all the mayors. But more importantly, we are going to be proactive because in non-inclement weather times, we are able to kind of take care of what the potential threats are within our districts and make it a more safe environment for our people, So, there's a lot of opportunity. I mean, right now, it's not nowhere in our budget is there any money that's tied to any capital improvement. So, for example, I'll just use Inalan, for example, we've absorbed, we wanted to take over the Inalan pool, which we have, and also the Surfside area. But, for right now, I want to be able to kind of, make some repairs on the pavilions that are there. I want to be able to repaint some of those pavilions, but those are what we call capital outlay projects.
Right.
And we don't have anything embedded into our, and again, that $4 million would have helped so many people. And then, so I guess I'll just kind of close that. I know we'll be running out of time here soon, but I witnessed, that GVB is requesting for $11 million to do a flight incentives, airline incentives to hopefully bring some tourists in. We find ourselves like a part of that formula the mayors do. And so the question is GVB, and I applaud them for that, trying to bring in more tourists and And I wholeheartedly believe that tourism works for Guam, that's for sure. I mean, that's been demonstrated throughout the entire so many years of the folks operating GVB, and it has helped Guam tremendously. So I'm not about to say no to tourism. But what I say, though, now as a mayor, like, let's be a partner in this whole process. But what we need is obviously to spruce up our areas. But again, when we don't have money that we're able to flex to, we're forced to do the bare minimum of servicing our community. A lot of the mayors want to do more beautification, probably build up more scenic sites or beautify those scenic sites so that it becomes an attraction to any visiting tourist. And so here's where we're here now saying, man, we invite the tourists to Guam, but some of our areas are not spruced up the way we want it to be, only because our hands are tied with the minimum amount of money that we have. So just to give you a clear picture, this year in Alaman, as far as operations, because if you remove personnel costs, utility costs, and all of that, in Alaman, at the end of it all, after all the division of monies, in Alaman only received $49,000 to operate. Of that 49, 30,000 is already obligated for fuel costs, leaving me with 19,000 to operate. In other words, that's what's supposed to pay for my bush cutters and get new canopies. It doesn't allow. Our monies are so small. You literally kill the creativity of any mayor that wants to, participate in trying to spruce up the area. So at the end of the day, you really you only have enough just to kind of sustain, right? And even in some cases, and that's why half the time we're all praying that there's no disaster that comes because we don't have the funds, the means, the mechanism to try to mitigate any potential threat to our communities. Only because we don't have enough money. It's almost like that old thing I heard at one point in time. I'll never forget. It was an old Ace Hardware. I saw an old lady who said, man, I'm using my money that I'm supposed to use to pay my power and water to go now and buy plywood and buy shutters to kind of arm up their house in preparation for the storm. So just like us right now, we're trying to do what we can. But of course, when a storm or any kind of emergency hits, now we redirect those funds to help us mitigate whatever emergency there is. And after all of that is said and done, we now find ourselves with no money to continue our operations. And that's why, there's kind of like a lot of frustration built into the mayors regarding this. So, again, like I said, I'm calling to express my frustration, but that's kind of where we're at with our budget.
I'm glad that you did, Joe. I'm glad that you did because, having conversations with you and other mayors, there's so much that you are asked to do. You're the lifeline to when it comes to when the Guam Police Department needs assistance in emergencies. And we saw a very real exercise of that, right? In real time, you are all activated and assisting with Guam Police Department in the manhunt. And in essence, you provided the command center. The mayors did.
Yes, we did. I mobilized my staff. We were able to provide canopy, tables, chairs, cooler, water, and ice for the makeshift command post when the incident happened in California. So it's things like that, that I'm saying is that we want to be able to do everything under the sun, but we just don't have the means. And, oftentimes the general public criticizes the mayors for lack of response or never responding, but what they don't really truly see and understand is our hands are really tied and we're having to, it's like when we're going to the gas station deciding, do I buy me a drink or do I put gas in my car? What kind of life is that, right? And that's the kind of life we're having to determine which priorities of the day we need to entertain. And it's unfortunate, but in my testimony, I said that, I know this year every entity is going to come in asking for a little bit more. And I think our request was very reasonable. It was spelled out. It was outlined. And if anything, it was literally a diagram of what we were trying to accomplish, right? And I thought that we articulated our situation very well. And I thought that it was well received. And unfortunately, that was not the case. It's very disheartening, upsetting, and somewhat, a disappointment when you're trying your very best, and I know I'm doing everything I can to really help promote tourism in Alahan. And I want to do more, but definitely we need more. And unfortunately, that's not what we're getting this year again, you know. So,
well, you are the example, though. I mean, when people say, what do I want my village to look like when it comes to attracting? I mean, and Alahan gets brought up immediately. But thank you so much, Mayor. I'd love to just, I will reach out to you again, and we can have an even longer conversation maybe next week. Because we'll see what happens with the budget bill. And then we'll unpack it all, yeah?
All right.
Okay.
All right,
Thanks, Mayor. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much for calling in. Okay. Adios. 5:58 in the afternoon. We're going to get out of here. Don't forget us in the morning because we're going to do it all again tomorrow, right? Mornings with Patty, rolling with dice from 6 to 10. It's Friday, so you got national programming that's going to... No, Eddie Quintos is back on Friday from 10 to 11. Danny Michael, the PIO of Guam Department of Education, he has his show from 10 to 11. And then national programming is going to get another Brightside from 2 to 6 with me and Issa and Jardine. And then you've got Edge of Heaven with Rand Kaufman, the OG himself, from 6 to 8, all right here on the top of Guam. Be the weather, so everybody get home safe and kind to each other, especially on those roads. Adios.